The Conference USA football season heads down the stretch. Last week, the Blazers of UAB clinched the East, while Middle Tennessee and FIU continue to battle it out in the West. As for the Miners of UTEP and the Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky, building momentum heading into next season is the goal. Finishing this season on a positive note, starting tonight with a victory. It's UTEP and Western Kentucky on BN Sports, coming up next. We're heading for the stretch run of the Conference USA football season in 2018, and tonight we welcome you to Bowling Green, Kentucky, the home of the Hilltoppers. It's senior night as 10 seniors for Western Kentucky will play their final game inside the stadium as they take on the Miners of UTEP. Hi, everybody. Mike Gleason along with Brett Romberg, the former All-American center from Miami, who happens to rejoin us in the booth after 2 relaxing weeks in the studios down in Miami. He's rested up after the birth of your third child.
Yeah, rested, but definitely sleep deprived. But I got a great supporting staff at home. So.
All right, partner. He's ready to go. We're ready to go. 2 1-9 teams, and I'm actually excited about that. You look at the Miners of UTEP, they're coming in averaging less than 19 points a game, but the last 2 weeks they've scored in the 30s, so they're optimistic about that.
Well, Mike, I know you remember the passion that we were talking to the coaches that their quarterback has. Phenomenal quarterback. Loxley, now that he's healthy, you're starting to see him develop even better, whether it's in the pocket or it's running the football. Loxley's game is taking to the next level, especially now that they have that other dynamic of him being a pocket passer. On top of that, you add a running dynamic as well with Wadley. It seems like in the last couple weeks, he's found his mojo, averaging 95 yards over the last 2 games and scoring a pair of touchdowns in both games. You can see here Wadley's numbers against Middle Tennessee and Rice. Done a phenomenal job. He did the 91 against Rice and the 99 against Middle Tenn. Not an easy defense as well to be running all over.
Well, Brett, talking about the running game, you look at the Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky. They were one of 3 teams to start the year with 5 brand new faces up front. Last week, they had their first 100-yard rusher since 2016. They're optimistic about that as well.
Yeah, speaking of the mojo, I think the offensive line might starting to be gelling together a little bit. One of the things that I love about a team, especially when they've been struggling, is now they're starting from the core, the root. They're developing the offensive line here. And now that they've had a couple starts together, I think it's number 9 going on 10 this evening. Western Kentucky's O-line is helping out their running back, and you see their running game starting to develop a little bit more as well. Busting through lines, creating so much havoc now. All they need is for their quarterback to develop himself as well. Tonight, I think we're going to have a pretty good contest here tonight, Mike. I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going on. And you see here Samuel's last week's statistics. First 100-yard rusher since 2016.
Yeah, 6.7 yards a carry as we take a look at the weather here in Bowling Green, Kentucky on this Saturday night in November. Partly cloudy, about 45 degrees, and the winds southeast 3 miles per hour. We were told earlier in the week that could dip down into the 30s before the game is over. Dimel, the head coach of UTEP in his first season, when he was at Wyoming and Houston, with the Houston Cougars back in 2001 and 2002, he brought in the top recruiting classes in Conference USA. And of course, Mike Sanford in his second season. Mike Sanford, a lot of success with big-time schools as an assistant coach. He led the Hilltoppers to a bowl game last year. Well, right now, they're just trying to build for the future. Western Kentucky won the toss, Brett, and instead of deferring, it elected to receive, and some of the smoke in the stadium making me cough a little bit here.
Yeah, it is a little smoky. A little bit of dead air out here right now. Not too much wind, which is going to bear well for us here in the booth.
How surprised are you that they decided not to defer? They're going to take the football first.
I like it, and you can see it already getting chippy right now on the field. Guys are worked up for tonight. It's senior night, and the fact that they're trying to send these 10 young men out tonight with a victory, wanted to be par for the course, especially when they have done the same thing over and over since 2010.
Well, the last time we were here, October 27th, we saw Davis Shanley start at quarterback. It's going to be Stephen Duncan, the redshirt sophomore at quarterback tonight, number 10.
Yeah, I've liked him for a long time now, especially when we were here about a month ago, watching him go ahead and orchestrate that last couple series of that game against FIU. I thought he was great. I love the way that he stood in there. I like the way that he developed. He's tall, too. He's about 6'4", so the way that he could stand there and throw the football is really impressive.
This will be his 4th start. Shanley had 4 starts, and Drew Eckel started 3 times for the Hilltoppers. They want to go upstairs early, and Lucky Jackson was open, but it's knocked away at the last second. And running step for step was Kahani Smith, one of the safeties, although he was beat at one time. Probably Duncan waited too long to throw the ball.
Not only did he wait too long, he put way too much air underneath that football. And my goodness, coming across the middle of that football field, Jernigan, number 16, was wide open. Could have caught a cold out there. He was so wide open.
So it's 2nd and 10 from the 25-yard line. First possession of the ball game. Both teams are 1-9. Play action. Duncan fires over the 35-yard line. It's complete for a first down. Forward progress should give them. It's Quinn Jernigan. That's his 32nd catch this year.
I know he's looking for some touchdowns because he got a goose egg in that touchdown category.
See Duncan's numbers last week against Florida Atlantic. He threw for 228. On the season, just shy of 1,000 yards, 874. New set of downs. They're going to keep on the ground, and it's a good power run over the 40-yard line, and that's going to be one of the seniors, DeAndre Furby.
And again, going against one of the seniors, A.J. Houchens as well, the Oregon transfer, meeting him one-on-one.
Furby with the call. No, it's going to be Duncan. He keeps it. He gets over the 45, has to get to about the 47 for the first down. Depends on the spot. They're going to give him the first down, a brand new set of downs. So back-to-back first downs for the Hilltoppers. A good start for Western Kentucky.
Yeah, and on top of that, you see Kahani Smith getting down into the box, making that tackle. That's their safety, one of the big hitters. The Riverside Community College transfer. I like what I've seen so far, Mike, tonight. I got a couple wide open wide receivers. I know they're going to be going back to some of those plays on this opening drive.
Mentioned Furby, one of the 10 seniors, so he's off the field now as Samuel checks in as Duncan takes it under center. Fires far side, little bubble screen. Lucky Jackson gets inside the 45-yard line of UTEP, and for Lucky Jackson, that's his 42nd catch.
I also like the fact that they got their right tackle going out there and making some nice blocks. Quinn Jernigan was one of the wide receivers. I want to have a big night tonight because I need him to get into that touchdown category. Furby, another senior that we've spoken about. But again, Duncan, I think, needs to take that next step in order to go ahead and make that job his next year.
Here's a sweep. Those were the Dr. Pepper impact players for the Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky. Lucky Jackson with the ball carrier. That's his second carry this year. He's a redshirt junior out of Lexington, Kentucky. He's got the top receiving game on the season against the Maine Black Bears. 4 catches for 115 yards and a couple of touchdowns. We'll go over Duncan's numbers right after this play. It's going to be 2nd and about 2 to go. Samuel picks it up. Nice hole on the left side. He's inside the 25 down to about the 23. Coming up to make the stop is Justin Rogers.
Nice little counter play out of the backfield. They're even pulling their backside tight end, Kyle Fortenberry. And I like the way that the running back hugged to Fortenberry's right butt cheek in order to go ahead and make that linebacker jump outside. He set up his block real nice there.
And it's another first down for the Hilltoppers. The ball inside the 25 at about the 23-yard line now. First drive of the ball game. It's been impressive. It's Furby again with the call. Furby's a 5th-year senior out of Smyrna, Tennessee. He was injured earlier this year, so he comes in with only 33 carries, but that's his 3rd already tonight, Brett.
Yeah, he got a touchdown against FAU earlier on in the season as well. As we look at our impact players for UTEP, my favorite is Houchens. No doubt about it. The man is leading his team in tackles, doing phenomenal things. And the defensive back, Needham, is just your 100%. You know what you're going to get every single time he takes the football field.
Houchens, a former Oregon Duck out of the Pac-12 and one of 8 grad students on this football team, as opposed to 19 for UAB, who wrapped up the West, or the East last week, excuse me. Little shovel pass inside goes to Mike Quan Dean. And Brett, last week he had 10 catches for 112 yards and a touchdown against FAU.
Yeah, and that little shovel pass right there. You see Tupou's right there waiting for him. Nice form tackle. There's going to be a lot of one-on-ones, it seems like, tonight when it comes to making tackles and the blocking scheme that Western Kentucky has right now. It's basically mano-a-mano style football right now in the run game.
Well, Brett, the last time we were here, Western Kentucky moved it up and down the field against FIU, but couldn't punch it in. Now it's 3rd and 4. Samuel gets the call. Nice cutback, and he's not going to have the first down. So once again, they failed to push it in for a touchdown, and we're going to have to try a kick as A.J. Houchens in on the tackle again.
That was the same exact play going the other way that I was talking about earlier when they're pulling both the guard and Fortenberry, the backside tight end. The running back did not follow his pullers, ended up stopping and cutting it back a little bit too early right there.
Well, Mike Sanford says the heck with the kick. It's 4th and 3 on their first drive. They're going to go for it.
I like that call. Coach is coaching for his job, so they say here in town, so why not put it on the players tonight? Let's see how bad these guys want it.
Well, it's 4th and 3. They're only 26% on 4th down conversions this year. Fake the pitch, and they fire, and there's a touchdown on 4th down as Jernigan, and he's in the touchdown column for you.
I'm glad I picked him tonight as one of my players, Mike. Quinn Jernigan getting in that touchdown column. I like the play action here. You see Needham step up right there because he's expecting that toss and to make that tackle. And Michael Lewis is a little late to that football right now. Jernigan gets behind him, arms up high, catching that ball at the high point. Congratulations, Western Kentucky and Stephen Duncan. Opening up drives right now with touchdowns.
And on for the extra point, it's not going to be Alex Ranella.
Blocked extra point.
Blocked as the Hilltoppers go with number 13.
And you know what? This seems a little bit repetitive because Chris Richardson came running out of that huddle with his hands held high. He ended up blocking an extra point against Middle 10 as well. So this is number 2 for him.
So Ryan Nuss, who started the season as the kicker, is back on the field for the extra point, but they get it blocked. But Quinn Jernigan, 3 catches, first touchdown in 2018. So back at Bowling Green, 6-0 Hilltoppers on their first drive, 11 plays, 75 yards in 4:54. And Brett, let me apologize to Ryan Nuss's family and friends. He was wearing number 13. He used to wear number 37, but of course he's a 5th-year senior, so Mike Sanford giving all the seniors the chance to get back on the field tonight and play. There's Dana Dimel. As you take a look at Mike Sanford now, Sanford, of course, as an assistant, 2 Rose Bowls at Stanford, 3 trips to the Fiesta Bowl, 3 different schools at Stanford, Boise State, Notre Dame, and now he's just trying to get this program turned around. And again, against FIU, I don't know if you agree with me or not, I thought they moved the ball well in that game. They just couldn't score. And here they missed the extra point. It gets blocked, so we'll see if they can hold on to this lead now.
Yeah, that's that conversation that we just saw Sanford having right on the sideline with some of his coaching staff. My guess is that was a little bit of a chewing out session.
Warren Reddix takes it at the 14-yard line, a very short kick. Reddix is up to the 30, or just shy of the 30-yard line. So the Miners on their first possession will have some decent field position, and we're going to see the junior, last year's junior college offensive player of the year, and Kyle Loxley, who we did not see in El Paso earlier this year.
Plenty of rushing touchdowns this young man has as well. 6 right now in the league. But again, after speaking to the coaching staff throughout the week, they kept emphasizing the fact that he's developing as a pocket passer. So it's interesting to go ahead and add that dynamic to this young man's game, not only being a dual threat, but also possibly learning this game a little bit more in depth with, this phenomenal coaching staff as well over there.
Loxley, 66% last year in junior college, only 51% this year for the Miners. They want to come out throwing, and this one is picked off at the 40-yard line. And just like that, Roger Cray has his first interception of the year. The sophomore, the only freshman last year to play in every game for the Hilltoppers.
Yeah, they ended up going ahead and trying to make it look like a run by pulling the backside guard, faking, pulling the ball back in, and it gets tipped right at that line of scrimmage. Roger Cray coming up big earlier on in this football game. Oh, that's the senior Ben Holt at the line of scrimmage, jumping and tipping that ball. I imagine the defensive coordinator, Coach Cox, might have a little bit of a mixed emotions on that one.
Go ahead.
I was going to talk about the relationship that Coach Cox has with Ben Holt. I know him and his dad are basically in the best friend category, and he watched Holt grow up as a kid, so I imagine there's a little bit of excitement for the young man. But tonight it's going to have to wait.
He said he's known him since he was in the cradle. Little baby, about a week old, I think he said. And his dad, Nick Holtz, now with Purdue, and Jeff Brom, who's rumored to be headed from West Lafayette over to Louisville. We'll see if that transpires as well. But right now, Western Kentucky with a great field position at the 33-yard line after the interception. Duncan under center again. Lucky Jackson with yet another carry. Nice lane, cuts it back, and he's inside the 25 down to the 22.
You know what? I'm liking some of this violence that they continually dishing out right now, being very aggressive, running that end around. Jernigan even coming backside as well, throwing a nice little block out there. Western Kentucky coming to play tonight.
And we mentioned Lucky Jackson, only one carry coming into the ball game, and that's his, what, second or third carry already tonight as he gets it down to the 22-yard line. Another brand new set of downs for the Hilltoppers. This time working out of the gun, Duncan. Furby gets the call and runs into a wall. Might have got back to the line of scrimmage. And Chris Richardson Jr., the first to make the contact there at the line of scrimmage for the Miners of UTEP.
See, I keep seeing the offensive line right now. I'm not enjoying the footwork. I imagine Coach Woods might have a word with these guys in the film room after this one, because a lot of first steps backwards right now. They need to go ahead and keep their shoulder pads low and gain ground on that first step.
So it's 2nd and 10 from the gun. Duncan looks near side, fires, looking for Jernigan, has it, and he's out of bounds at about the 1-yard line, or just inside the 1. So Jernigan, a redshirt junior, has a touchdown for you and almost had a second.
Yeah, I like the way that he's playing so far tonight. The fact that he's catching the ball at the high point, he's going up, he's attacking the football. We didn't see that earlier on in the season from Western Kentucky.
And they keep it on the ground, and they power in for the touchdown. And it's going to be Furby, the 5th-year senior, gets his 3rd rushing touchdown this year.
You know what I like seeing right now, Mike? I like seeing the fact that Coach Sanford isn't afraid to call some trick plays. You see a lot of end-around stuff, a lot of misdirection. He said, you know what, tonight, why not? Give it to some of the young men that might be leaving this institution. Get them some plays, get their name up on the board. Kind of create a little bit of havoc and have some fun here tonight in Bowling Green.
There's Alex Ranella. After the last PAT was blocked, Ranella on for the first time tonight. This one's good. 2 possessions for the Hilltoppers, 2 touchdowns. 8:27 to go. We're still in the first quarter. 13-0 Western Kentucky. Well, back in Bowling Green, Kentucky, Mike Gleason, along with the Remington Award winner during his Miami Hurricane days, Brett Romberg, and well, they've won 7 straight on senior night. So far, so good for the Hilltoppers.
Yeah, I like what we see so far tonight. Very aggressive in the play calling, and granted, that field possession on that pick didn't help either for UTEP. So we're looking at UTEP getting ready to get the ball back here and see what kind of offense Dimel's going to go ahead and put on this football field.
So once again, Terry Janeel and Warren Reddix, the deep men, as they await the kick from Alex Ranella, a redshirt junior for the Hilltoppers. Last kick was short. Reddix is standing at the 10-yard line. Now Janeel, who had 95 yards in returns last week against Middle Tennessee, backs up to about the 4-yard line. And Janeel backs up into the end zone, takes a knee, and the Miners will start at the 25-yard line. So the Miners are coming off a loss to Middle Tennessee, 48-32, but again, averaging less than 19 points a game. They scored 34 2 weeks ago, 32 last week. So they thought the offense was starting to click. They used 2 quarterbacks last week in Kai Loxley and Brandon Jones. Loxley, of course, according to Mike Canales, the offensive coordinator, he was dinged up the last time we were down in El Paso. Said he's only about 55%, and he's playing on toughness out there.
Yeah, the young man's very competitive.
Drops back, throws off his back foot. 2 passes and 2 interceptions. This one's Drell Green. Green inside the 30, all the way down to the 20-yard line. So Drell Green making his 29th start tonight. The senior out of Alma, Georgia, gets his first INT.
Yeah, in front of the fam, too. We saw earlier tonight the seniors honoring the seniors, walking out, handing the bouquet of roses to mom. Congratulations on that interception, but I knew this play was doomed from the beginning. Watch him throw off his back foot. His feet are standing side by side. He could feel the collapsing pocket. Just threw the ball up in the air right there. There was no wide receivers around the football. Actually, the only people were there were the 2 safeties from Western Kentucky. So if Green didn't want it, I'm sure number 24, Roger Cray, was going to be the one that was going to take it from him anyway.
And that would have been his second. 32 yards on the return for Green. Brings it all the way down to the 20. So Stephen Duncan saying, hey, this is pretty easy. This is pretty nice with the field
Getting the
position.
ball on the 20 right now. Already in the red zone.
Last drive started on the 33. Empty backfield. Duncan wants to run it. Duncan has a lane. He's inside the 15, inside the 10-yard line. And Duncan at 6'4", 230 finally goes down after the whistle's blown inside the 10.
I like the functionality right now that I'm starting to see out of Duncan. They're not afraid to run him with the football either. You saw him tuck and run right away, and they continually keep using Fortenberry, that tight end, as one of their pullers and blockers.
Picked up the first down. It's 1st and goal at the 9-yard line now for the Hilltoppers, trying to work on that 13-0 lead here in the first quarter. And up inside is going to be Appleberry down to the 5-yard line, the freshman out of Atlanta. That's his 50th carry, his first in this ball game tonight.
He's got himself 3 touchdowns so far on this season as well. I know they were expecting big things out of him. He's one of the most talented backs that this program has had in a little while. Just hasn't really, I don't know if it was the fact that they've had that quarterback on the rotation or what the situation might be, but it seems like they're going to start moving now that the O-line is getting together.
Well, Mike Sanford, he's played 4 quarterbacks this year, 3 different starters for the entire 2018 season. Furby's back on the field. Furby with the call, and Furby wants that touchdown. Remember, he came back against FIU after being injured, and Mike Sanford said he had a look in his eye, knowing this is his final year.
Yeah, some players just do not want to come off the field, and you can see Big Furby right now breaking arm tackles, running through some of the arms of the defense right now of UTEP.
3rd and goal at the 2, and there's another touchdown pass. This one goes to Lucky Jackson.
Lucky. Hitting Jackson on the slant. Quick hitting play. And it looks like everybody was practicing their touchdown dances on Friday as well. Offensive line jumping out, getting the hands down of the defensive front. Perfectly timed throw as well.
So Lucky Jackson, who has 4 100-yard career games, so 1 so far in 18, has his 4th receiving touchdown. And for Stephen Duncan, he has 8 touchdown strikes now, 2 already here tonight. They're going to go for 2 after having that first extra point blocked.
Unfortunately, they're going to have to blow a timeout here. They don't have enough guys on the field, Mike. Broderick Hale, it might be a little bit late getting out there.
Looks like the Miners took the timeout, helped them out. So the Miners used their first of 3 here in the first half with 6:56 to go in the first quarter. You know, Dana Dimel said last week started early, even though it was in El Paso. They fumbled on the first play on their first possession. Well, Loxley throws a pick on their first possession. 2 picks on their first 2 possessions. This week he said it's going to be a later start, long road trip, cold weather. All part of the equation, and they have to handle all parts. Well, so far, not so good.
Yeah, so far that travel might have done a little bit damage to him, and the fact that it was 29 degrees here this morning when I woke up and went for my little walk. That grass was frozen, the trees were frozen. It just, I don't know if that El Paso weather is anything like this weather.
It's not as cold as I thought it would be so far.
No,
we're
so
going to
far
take
so
a timeout.
nice.
6:56 to go, quarter number 1. And the fans here inside Houchens Smith Stadium happy so far as the extra points drilled through by Ranella. And with 6:56 to go, Western Kentucky opens up a 20-0 lead. Last drive, just 20 yards, 4 plays in 1:18.
I know one of the factors we were talking with the defensive coordinator, Coach Cox, about was his defense and how ultimately paper thin they really were in terms of their depth. It doesn't help right now that the majority of the time that Western Kentucky is getting the football on offense, it's already starting off in the red zone. So looking up at that clock right now and you're seeing a 20-0 score in the first quarter, that doesn't bode well right now for UTEP and the mentality of this defense.
Not surprised that Western Kentucky got it going. I'm a little bit surprised at how the Miners. We had that game against North Texas, and it was 27-24. Bill Clark from UAB went down there and beat them 19-0, but he was impressed with how the Miners fought for the entire 60 minutes.
Well, as long as Kai Loxley continually fights tonight, doesn't come back out and throw another pick, because having 2 series with picks, mentally that's got to mess with that quarterback.
Terry Janelle gets up over the 20, and he's wrestled down at the 21-yard line.
Look at the excitement on the special teams, too. What a mentality these guys have here tonight.
It's a big difference, man, when you can taste that victory.
Oh, yeah, that energy becomes contagious as well, too. You got the coaches running off the sideline right now, high-fiving everybody.
Well, Mike Canales said we're going to see both quarterbacks probably tonight. And right now it's going to be Wadley in the backfield. And that's the second quarterback. That's Brandon Jones, the junior out of Bakersfield. Loxley's 2 for 2, but both of his passes to the wrong team so far. And Brandon Jones picks up 3.
It might be one of those situations where they just need to pull the young man off the field, maybe give him a series or 2, clear his head a little bit, allow him to come back into this ball game.
Yeah, keep in mind Loxley, as Dana Dimel said, playing at about 55%. Usually when a guy's injured, he said, well, he's about 80, 90%. But 55%, he's just playing on guts and toughness right now. But Jones comes in near side, overshoots his man. He's had only not a lot of reps this year, but he's only at 46%. The intended receiver that time was Reddix. Jones is throwing for 219 yards. Carried 23 times after that last one. His best one, he was 7 for 15 for 98 yards at Louisiana Tech.
You got their playmaker down near the bottom of your screen right now. Second receiver in from the sideline is Janelle. Usually when they put that star-studded guy in there, they want to make something happen on offense.
Jones.
And they do.
Wants to go deep. Janelle has it at the midfield stripe. And he runs out of bounds inside Western Kentucky territory at the 47-yard line.
When you got an athlete as talented as Janelle, there's no doubt in my mind when he comes into this football game as a defensive coordinator, you got to know where he's at all times. You see him get behind his corner right now, covered by that linebacker, Takorian Darden. That's a mismatch.
Well, Janelle, over 100 yards in all-purpose yardage 4 times this year for the Miners. This is Warren Reddix. Reddix slides through a little hole down to about the 41-yard line. Reddix is their leading receiver at 29. That's his 30th catch. Still looking for his first touchdown here in 2018. He's a senior out of El Paso.
Got the full house right now at the linebacker position. Devin Keys down inside the box.
Play action. And this one's complete at the 35-yard line. And that's Eric Brown, another senior from Inland Empire, California. That's only his 8th catch this year.
Yeah, he got his first touchdowns against Middle Tennessee as well. 6'1", 175-pound senior. Trying to contribute right now to this offense, trying to figure something out.
You know, Brett, obviously Loxley's thrown 2 picks already. The Miners, they've been outscored 80-22 as a result of turnovers this year. So turnovers have just killed this football team. And 52 of the 80 have come in the first half. So now it's 54 of the 82. Oh! This
and
one's
they got
picked
another
off.
one, Mike.
Wow. Takorian Darden, the redshirt junior. That's going to be his 3rd. And he's finally wrestled down at the 20-yard line. Well, using the tip drill that time. And now Brandon Jones throws his first pick of the season. That's their 3rd of the ball game.
Well, it started out with Coach Dimel yelling at his wide receiver Eric Brown to open up a little bit more down on the numbers, which kind of created a little bit of a distraction when it came to the alignment of the wide receivers. And when you got your quarterback running and whipping and trying to throw the football 100 miles an hour, Kenyon Foster, who ends up making the tackle on this play due to the sweet feet of Takorian Darden right there. 3 picks. So we're looking at 3 for 3 on these series so far right now for UTEP. My goodness, what can you call as an offensive coordinator when you've gotten 3 picks in a row?
And Brett, that's the most INTs in a single quarter by Western Kentucky since joining the FBS. This is their 10th year playing FBS football. Lucky Jackson has it near side. Gets a block and he's up over the 25-yard line. And now Western Kentucky's starting to look like that team that Mike Sanford thought they could be.
Yeah, on top of that, I feel like I'm at the Oprah show right now, and the defense is sitting in the audience, and Oprah standing at the front saying, and you get a pick, and you get a pick. It seems like everybody in that backfield so far is about to get one.
Well, Duncan has to be enjoying himself in his 4th start this year. Appleberry tries to bounce to the outside. He's smothered by several jerseys. I think number 3 is Sione Tupou leading the attack.
CJ Reese was in there as well. Good to see him back. He's been out a couple weeks. I know that needed a nice little boost going into that defensive front as well. Good to have him back in that lineup. So you got Mascaro, Reese, Soda working those ends.
Mentioned earlier in the broadcast, Myquan Dean with 10 catches for 112 yards last week. Yet to have a football thrown his way as of yet. Duncan looks, fires. Jernigan has another catch. And he's up to about the 33, and Jernigan took a hit. He's feeling a little bit of pain.
Might have taken one off the thigh a little bit there. You can see him rubbing his upper thigh. But I saw right there Duncan grow as a player.
So the last home run back in 2017, you saw that graphic.
They're flanking Duncan down here at the bottom of your screen. He's standing on the 30-yard marker. And they brought in Shanley to go ahead and do this.
Double reverse, little flea flicker play. Duncan looks, fires, and this is going to fall incomplete.
Not a bad job by
Shanley.
Yeah.
Davis Shanley, the intended receiver, coming off the sidelines.
Jumping a little bit too early. We talked about Jernigan trying to catch that ball at the high point. It seems like Shanley might have to get in that drill a little bit with Jernigan. Little early. Kind of jumped the gun on that one, no pun intended.
Yeah, it's a great point. Great call on your part. He probably would have had it if he timed it. Of course, he's used to throwing the ball, not catching it. Tupou showing blitz. Backs off now. Duncan backs into the shotgun. 2nd and 10. Duncan wants to go deep this time and has his man. And penalty flag. I was just about to say decent coverage out there.
I thought Connie Smith had really good coverage. I wouldn't mind seeing a nice little close-up of this one and find out where he ended up getting the violation.
On the defense, number 4, 15-yard penalty, automatic, 1st down.
Well, Mike Cox, the defensive coordinator, was telling you earlier this week that the safety play has been very inconsistent. But Smith.
A little bit early, that's the problem right there. But did the referee call it on number 4 or 24? He called it on number 4.
Yeah, he meant number 24, though.
That's what I figured. Yeah, he just got to the ball a little bit early.
Intended receiver, Jakor Pearson.
Yeah, but when I was talking earlier about Duncan growing on a particular play, the way that he's influencing the linebackers tonight, not only by running the football, but getting to the line of scrimmage and making those linebackers bite on the fact that he might be the guy running it.
Furby found the hole and almost broke it right up the middle.
He's just keeping guys honest on that defensive unit.
I think Josh Ortega stuck his arm out, Brett, kind of pulled him down. Might have got a face mask on the call. Yep. Well, doesn't look like he has the face mask.
Just the collar.
Play action, near side. Caught at the 10-yard line. There's Myquan Dean with his first catch. That's going to be number 40 for him. He's the 2nd leading receiver on this football team. Picks up 35 yards on the play.
And he does have his wristbands on tonight too, ladies and gentlemen. He's got 3 on each arm right there. But you see the nice play fake here right now. I know up front on the defensive side they're running some games up front with the defensive linemen. Just taking too long to get that looping end all the way back around.
Justin Rogers in coverage that time as Dean picks up the 35-yard gain, puts the ball on the 7, so it's 1st and goal at the 7-yard line. Furby, left side. Furby gets in for the touchdown. DeAndre Furby, his 2nd on senior night.
Furby had a little bit of that Le'Veon Bell in there. Had that stutter step, allow that hole to open up and develop. Ended up creating a nice little path all the way into that black end zone. Watch him here as he takes his stutter step, lets the play develop. Ultimately watching number 97 Ortega go ahead and jump inside, biting on one of the paths.
So Furby gets his second rushing touchdown of the ball game. Most points scored in a single quarter by the Hilltoppers this year. They're at 26. Ranella on to shoot for number 27 as one of the Miners down at about the 2 or 3 yard line, banged up. And as you said, Mike Cox can ill afford to lose yet another player. Said he's paper thin on the defensive side of the football, and it's going to be one of the big guys too, Denzel Chukwukwelu.
6'4", 290-pounder. He's been playing well too. I know some of these guys have had a little bit of a spotty performances, but apparently number 11 has been doing a great job so far for this defense the last couple weeks.
So here's Alex Ranella trying to drill yet another extra point here in the first quarter for the Hilltoppers. Line drive right down the middle, and we've got a 27-0 ball game here in Bowling Green. After the INT, another impressive drive.
Yeah, 7 plays, 79 yards, taking about 2 minutes and 55 seconds off the clock. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are still in the first quarter, 27-0. Western Kentucky's leading UTEP right now with still 1:28 to go.
And the Hilltoppers came into the ballgame averaging just 18 points a game.
I like the way that the nose guard right now is getting pinned inside by both the center and the left guard. That's Tyler Witt. And Seth Yost going ahead and climbing up to that middle linebacker as well, getting up top to that second level, occupying Jamar Smith. But great run, great stutter step, Le'Veon Bell style. I like it. Too bad Le'Veon Bell's not making $14.5 million this year. Ended up forfeiting his season. 14.5.
What's that all
I don't know
about?
what you're paying you here, but $14.5 million is a lot of money.
Roethlisberger said he was texting him last week and never
Not
was
even a
crickets.
response. Yeah, not even a response.
Well, Janelle and Reddick's the deep men again for the Miners as Ranella gets ready to kick off again for Western Kentucky here with 1:28 to go still in the first quarter. Janelle at the 3. Janelle over the 20, spins, 25, 30, and he's still on his feet, and he's finally driven out of bounds at the about the 30-yard line, depending on the spot. Coming up to make the stop that time on the kickoff is Adam Kraus.
Rex Henderson was on that back of his right now, bringing him to the ground.
So it's a 31-yard return. I had 4. Oh, I see. I'm sorry. Got double numbers. Number 40. Thanks for correcting that. You see, Western Kentucky, they've got 4 on the resume this year. 4 3-point losses. Right now, leading at 27-0 on senior night.
Yeah, that doesn't look to be a problem tonight, Mike.
Jones. Oh, it's picked off again. Unbelievable.
What a play! My
Unbelievable.
goodness.
4 picks so far. Devin Key has his second of the season. 4 INTs here in the first quarter for the Hilltoppers.
This is unbelievable. 4 possessions, 4 picks. What a beautiful play right there by Devin Key. Going up top, tipping the ball to himself, and still having the concentration and the athleticism after he goes to the ground to find that football. Poor Coach Dimel cannot do anything right now. Just one of those nights. You see the frustration on his face too.
Wow, with all the good teams they've had here, this is the 10th most points in a quarter in their 100-year history. Of course, we mentioned their 10th year playing the FBS level, and Duncan with great field position again. Boy, what an INT that was on.
That was impressive.
Flat on his back. Furby, the 5th-year senior, pounds his way inside the 40 down to the 39. So on senior night, something tells me we're going to see a lot of number 32 tonight.
And at this point, they don't know who to go to as a quarterback as well. UTEP, who do they go to? Is it going to be the 55-60% Loxley, or are they going to have to go back to their quarterback Jones, who just threw that last pick?
We saw Ryan Metz throw for 313 and a couple of touchdowns against North Texas, but he's banged up. He's out for the season. Appleberry. No, Duncan, nice fake. He still has it. Goes deep, and it's knocked away that time. Beverly, Kaylon Beverly in coverage for the Miners.
If you take a look at what's going on right now with some of the play calling, a lot of rolling, misdirection. They even tried the old throwback to the backup quarterback. It seems like they're having real good fun right now with that offensive game plan. He ended up pinning that arm too. He could have possibly got a little bit of the yellow laundry on the field.
Lucky Jackson looking for his second touchdown catch. So Duncan goes back to work. A third down play, 3rd and 6 at the 39-yard line. Twin receivers to the top. That's where Duncan wants to go. Here comes the heavy rush. And Duncan makes something out of nothing. Gets maybe 2 on the play. But
See,
then bring up 4th down.
On a night when nothing is going right offensively, you have the opportunity right there. You saw Houchens in the backfield. He's upset with himself right now. That should have been a sack, possible loss of around 7 yards on that play. Just opportunities right now, even when they're presented, the few and far between, UTEP doesn't seem to be capitalizing on it.
Well, it's going to be the final play of the first quarter. Your thoughts quickly before we go to break.
Well, to tell you the truth, I think Coach Dimel might have to go ahead and find out what's going on with that ball and find out if there's magnets inside of it. And at the other end, see what kind of gloves that Western Kentucky's wearing, because it seems like that ball is very attracted to the defense of Western Kentucky.
Well, good start for Mike Sanford, and Clayton White, the defensive coordinator, has to be pleased. 27-0. We're heading for the second quarter here in Bowling Green. Back at Western Kentucky, and the Hilltoppers are hitting on all cylinders right now with a 27-0 lead. And defense, the name of the game, 4 INTs already.
Yeah, we saw Holt with the tip right there. Then that was a gimme right there between those 2 defenders. That was a nice earned one right now. And then here's the beautiful play right now, the last interception by Key, tipping the ball to himself. Mike, this is the first 4 interception game since Marshall back in 2014, and Western Kentucky ended up winning that game 67-66.
Oh, wow. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but they might get the 67 tonight if they keep playing this way. Last week, the Miners scored 22 of their 32 in the 4th quarter. They're going to have to play catch up again here. First play of the second quarter now. Hilltoppers with the football at the 37-yard line of UTEP. Duncan steps up and fires right over the middle. Mike Dean took it away from Kyle Fortenberry. Fortenberry's thinking, hey, that was my ball.
It's always good when they get a little greedy to go ahead and get after that football. But you shouldn't have 2 wide receivers in the same zone. That's one of the plays that I'm sure the head man's going to go ahead and say, why are my receivers in the same location? But I like the max protection that they got up front as well, not allowing any of the defensive unit to get anywhere near Duncan, allowing him to sit in there and deliver that football. He seems like he's back to that form that we saw at the end of that FIU game too. Very confident, standing real tall, delivering strikes.
29 on the last play to Mike Dean. Appleberry bounces to the outside. He's inside the 5-yard line and drives down to the 3. Finally driven out of bounds by Nick Needham, the senior out of Buena Park, California. Coaching staff saying that they can't ask for any more from Nick Needham.
Yeah, he's continuously giving you exactly what you need from one of your starting corners. Team leader, got 10 tackles versus middle 10. Great character. You know, it's one of those leaders on the team that not necessarily vocal, but always leading by example.
Yeah, he had 10 and Houchens had 14. Third time this year the Miners have had 2 players with double digits tackles. And some of the bigger games too. Fortenberry. Well, Fortenberry tripped up. But big number 55. That's Mike Soda, who's moved from 2nd string to 1st string now with the Miners.
You see him using some of that size that Furby brings down near the goal line. When they get inside that 5-yard line, I know they brought in Appleberry on that fake toss on the other end of the field, but it seems like the common theme right now is once they're down in there, they use Furby, that big body, to go ahead and bruise them up.
3rd and goal at the 4-yard line. Furby, the 5th-year senior, already with a couple of rushing touchdowns, still in the backfield with Duncan.
They ended up switching up that mismatch too as well. They had one of the linebackers covering Lucky Jackson.
Duncan wants to fire it, and there's going to be a penalty flag dropped. No flag dropped, but it looked like
It was both ways. I'm going to be a firm believer right now that both those two young men were going at each other, pushing and shoving. You could see a lot of hand contact going back and forth prior to the play, grabbing, pulling. Yeah, Needham might have got away with one right there.
I think so, right in front of the official too. So it's going to be 4th and goal. That's going to bring on the kicking team. Alex Ranella 5 for 8 with a long of 41.
That may be one of those ones where the backfield judge is going to go ahead and say, I owe you one. Might have to make up for that one at the end of the game here.
This one from 22. Should be a chip shot. And it is. And so Ranella now 6 of 9, puts 3 more on the board. Still have 12 minutes and 58 seconds to go before halftime. Mike Sanford now with a 30-0 lead on Dana Dimel. Well, 2 games to go in the 2018 season. Right now, Western Kentucky looking for the first conference win, up by 30 in the second quarter. As we take a look at Mr. Romberg's pick for Player of the Year. Hard to argue that. 22 touchdowns, averaging almost 115 yards.
And it's hard to believe that FAU is struggling the way that they are, too, as well. And I imagine it's probably because of the one-dimensional offense that they got going on right now. The fact that he's got 22 touchdowns. My goodness.
Well, Mike Sanford, 198 yards of total offense in that first quarter. They come in averaging about 311. And Ranella getting ready to kick off again as Reddix and Junior back to receive the kick. I know Mike Cox said they're paper thin as far as depth on the defensive side of the ball, but the turnovers, 4 picks, certainly haven't helped their cause. Janelle thought about it, hesitated, then he finally brings it out. He's not going to get past the 17-yard line. Well, he thought about taking a knee and taking it out to the 25-yard line. Instead, because he was playing quarterback. See, the last scoring drive, just 39 yards. His field position has been obviously in the favor of Western Kentucky today.
Just trying to find a way to get something going. We thought the last drive that they had something going. They ended up getting about 30 or 40 yards of field position, and then all of a sudden come up with another interception.
Kai Loxley back at quarterback. He's thrown 2 picks. Brandon Jones has thrown a couple. So you mentioned earlier maybe they took him out to clear his head. We'll see if his head is clear now. Running on the left side and runs into a wall. And that wall by the name of Julian Lewis, 5th-year senior out of Madison, Alabama. Offensive coordinator for UTEP, Mike Canales, says they feel they have some pretty good players, but they're missing that playmaker on the outside. And as far as quarterbacks, he's got a 6'4", 6'5" quarterback out of Houston coming in next year. Says he can throw it pretty well. Loxley moves out of the pocket, fires, and the intended receiver was Eric Brown, at least 4 or 5 feet over his head.
Well, you can see right now what's going on the defensive unit for Western Kentucky is they're basically playing man coverage because they don't feel that anybody could beat them one-on-one. Sometimes they're bringing the safety down in the box too to kind of dare them to go ahead and have Wadley rush all over them. As so far, it seems like they're pretty good when it comes to the picks, and Wadley's not gaining much yards on the ground either.
3rd and long, 3rd and 9 now for the Miners, and the last thing you want to do is give the football back to Western Kentucky.
They're going to go ahead and put Eli Brown on the end of the line of scrimmage right now and rush that left tackle.
Loxley
ends up getting the sack.
Goes down in a hurry. And the Hilltoppers get their 20th sack this year.
Like I was talking about, on the outside of the line of scrimmage upon him, and then also D'Angelo Malone getting a piece of that sack as well. Working one-on-one. I don't know how you let Eli Brown, 215 pounds, go ahead and speed rush you around the edge like that when you're one-on-one.
Eli Brown, a Kentucky transfer and a local star, played at Warren East High School right here in Bowling Green. So the Miners will have to kick almost from their own end zone. Mitchell Crawford punts it just past the 50, and Drell Green calls for the fair catch at the 49-yard line. So the ball's in Western Kentucky territory, but Brett's great field position again.
It just seems like it's been the story all night long. I think the first 2 or 3 possessions were inside the 25-yard line, the red zone for Western Kentucky. And getting a couple other picks just across the 50, it just makes play calling so much easier. Not only the fact that you only need 25 yards to get in the end zone, but just that play calling sheet not only increases the confidence of your offensive line up front, the continuous scoring, and now it seems the kids are having fun. That's the best part about this. When you're up 30-0 right now and you just got past the first quarter, these young men are having fun. Now they're starting to experiment a little bit with some of their technique.
Well, Mike Sanford said it's all about the seniors this week. Duncan play action, flush from the pocket, and he's going to run out of bounds at about the 50, maybe just inside the 50. It'll be second and about 8, maybe 9 for the Hilltoppers.
And how I know Coach Woods, the offensive line coach right now for Western Kentucky, is doing a great job is you can see them working together a lot better. Say if the left tackle gets beat, the left guard is right there on his hip to go ahead and help him out. I just saw that down at the bottom with the 2 right tackle and right guard. These guys are playing well together, man. You're starting to see what we saw a couple of years back when you had guys like Lamp and guys starting for 35, 36 consecutive games.
Yeah, they were loaded up front, and they had some pretty good skill position players as well. Duncan had trips to the near side, and this one is batted away. Coming across the field to make the defensive play is Kahani Smith, the senior out of Los Angeles. Kaylon Beverly also in coverage. You look at Beverly and Nick Needham, they've combined for 53 passes broken up. Needham has 32. That's number 1 all time at UTEP. So it's a rare 3rd down play now for Western Kentucky. 3rd and 8 at the 49. Duncan feels the pressure. Flush from the pocket. He's going down. And he's wrestled down by Sione Tupou, a true freshman from Allen, Texas. And Tupou gets his first sack of the year, and it's going to bring up a punting situation.
That was a big sack too, Mike. A lot of yards taken off the board there. Non-stop, keep going, keep going. And as an offensive lineman, you see Pate right there as your right tackle, kind of giving up on the play. You never know when your quarterback has gotten rid of that football. So until you hear that whistle, you got to keep moving your feet, keep pass blocking, because clearly Tupou's able to see where that quarterback is, and if he's not stopped, then you can't stop.
Here's Ranella averaging 37. Recently named the Ray Guy National Punter of the Week when he averaged 48. Janelle standing back at the 20-yard line. It's a short but high kick. And Janelle, no fair catch. Looking for a wall. He's got it. Gets to the edge up to the 30-yard line before he runs out of bounds.
Great block right there. Phenomenal block by UTEP. By old number 15 right there. Did a great job. We see Jernigan right now. He's breathing pretty heavy. He might have got the wind knocked out of him. That's who that block was on. You'll see it right now coming on the left-hand side of your screen. Watch this block get set up on Jernigan right there.
Yeah, above the waist too. That's wouldn't you know it, the roster doesn't have a 15 on it for UTEP.
Yeah, that's awesome. Super excited to look down at my card and not have a number 15 on it.
Look, Quinn Jernigan down on the field now for Western Kentucky. 9:43 to go before halftime. We've got a 30-0 Western Kentucky lead.
Well, there's a reason why Jernigan didn't know where this block was coming from, was because Calvin Brownholtz out of California, the backup quarterback, is not even listed on their roster that we got sitting up here right now. But my goodness, they know who he is now. They're going to have their head on a swivel for old number 15 coming downhill.
Guess they didn't list him. He's their secret weapon.
Evidently.
And he's a quarterback too, so I mean, maybe with all the interceptions they throw, maybe he should get a shot. Maybe
check his birth certificate, make sure he's of age too.
Loxley wants to go deep, looking for, and this one's almost picked off. And the intended receiver that time is going to be Keenan Foster.
Yeah, I think it was Kenyon Foster that was down there. Great play right there by Deontay Ruffin. I like the way that he waited as well to get up top. Once again, it seems like he might be getting into that drill where finding the high point of that football.
Yeah, Brett, I paused because number 11, Eric Brown, was also in the same geographic area. Foster averaging 17 yards a catch. That's tops on the team. Loxley this time looking for Brown. And a little miscommunication. Loxley really not even close.
He's flustered right now, Mike. You can tell by his body language. He's talking to himself a little bit right now. I can see him too. And now he's kind of chirping it up with his wide receiver right now, explaining to his wide receiver what he needed to do on that play. Eric Brown was the one that was outflanked right there.
Last year in junior college, threw for over 2,200 yards and 20 touchdowns. Ran for 20, so he had 40 touchdowns. And best passing this year, 194 yards against New Mexico State and 193 in a win against Rice. Whoa!
Great play right there.
Again, it's Eli Brown.
Oh my. They ended up having the 3 down linemen, and they were showing the blitz up front, having Ben Holt and Eli Brown up into those A-gaps. Then they ended up bailing back to go ahead and show that they're not coming. But then once they realized that Loxley was holding that football a little bit too long, the closing speed of Eli Brown was phenomenal right there.
Loss of 6 on the play.
You know what they're doing right now, Mike? They're waiting for the guards to turn their back. You saw DeHaro right there, their left guard turn and go to help that left tackle. Once they see that guard's eyes.
Wow, look at this low kick. It's a good thing it takes a minor bounce. And Green picks it up, and he's drilled at the 45-yard line. Awatt coming up on the punt coverage team and gets a good shot on Green.
I like this strategy. I remember seeing this strategy quite a bit, and they teach this at the next level as well in the NFL. Is once you go ahead and give that bluff up front with those linebackers, you put them in the line of scrimmage. So now you have the 2 uncovered guards thinking that they're going to be helping their center against that blitzing linebacker. Then all of a sudden you bail those 2 linebackers away from the line of scrimmage. Guards think they have nothing to do other than to go out and help their tackles. Next thing you know, they turn their eyes away from those linebackers, and in come the linebackers. As long as that quarterback is holding that football, man, they're in trouble.
Well, Drell Green gets it up to the 47, so once again Stephen Duncan with great field position. First time since 2010 there'll be no postseason for the Hilltoppers, but they're enjoying themselves on senior night. Up by 30. Little pitch. And Samuel got back to the line of scrimmage. And it'll be 2nd and 10.
Right now they had that guard pulling right now. Meredith was trying to pull out and get on the outside. He's got to square his shoulders to the line of scrimmage and kind of cut down on the gap that you had right now from that blitzing linebacker coming in behind him making that tackle.
DeAndre Furby in the backfield, the 5th-year senior with Stephen Duncan. Play action. Duncan near side. Jernigan with another catch inside the 40 down to the 35-yard line. Beverly finally dumps him after another big gain for the Hilltoppers.
Jernigan's finding holes in this defense right now because they're going to zone. They're allowing the wide receivers to go ahead and catch the football, but they're trying to eliminate the yards after catch. But clearly they found the mismatch with number 9, Houchens, going against Jernigan.
17 on the last play. Duncan wants to match that here. Still on his feet. Duncan inside the 15-yard line. Finally wrestled down, and there's penalty flags all over the field. Looked like Nick Needham was holding on to the legs, and Duncan wanted to get out of that semi-scrum. Not sure what the penalty flags. They came out in a hurry, though. Gain of 23 on the run.
Oh, he's hyped. Old number 10 starting to bark a little bit.
Needham, from up here, it looks like maybe with Duncan barking, maybe Needham gave him a little bit of the business.
Well, you know what? Honestly, I would normally be able to tell you what was going on, but I was so busy watching Jernigan block on that play. He ended up putting a nice little block on old number 4, Harrell. Ended up knocking him over.
The result of the play is a first down. During the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 15 of the offense.
Oh.
It's a 15-yard penalty for the end of the run. That is his first towards disqualification.
Wow, number 15 of the offense. Once again, number 15 is the magic number. They've got the only 15, Takorian Darden, the defensive player for Western Kentucky. So I'm not quite sure who that went against.
Well, if you're playing the Kentucky lottery tonight,
Maybe meant 16. Maybe Jernigan got tossed.
Go ahead and play number 15 tonight.
Well, Jernigan's still on the field.
I think they're going to have to go ahead and huddle back up and figure out what's going on here.
Well, they're ready to play, and again, no 15 on the offense for Western Kentucky. Jernigan was called, but he's still on the field here. That's Jernigan in motion right now. So the officials obviously missed it, and Jernigan getting away with one. Duncan fires over the middle. This one's going to fall incomplete. Intended for Mike Wandine at about the 22.
Oh my goodness. So not only Jernigan, you can't do that. You can't stand over top of somebody. But you know what? That's a defensive lineman. And if your wide receiver, who's only weighing in at 210 pounds, is knocking your big C.J. Reese defensive lineman on his behind, that's exciting right there for a wide receiver coach to get back in that film room and see that.
Jernigan glanced over at the sidelines. Of the unsportsmanlike conduct, that's his first. So I guess he wouldn't be ejected from the game anyway.
But he's having a night tonight, though, Mike. He's playing out of his mind. If he's getting involved, not only in the points on the board situation, but he's also out there leading blocker for his quarterbacks sometimes and the running backs. He's playing tonight.
Well, another penalty. This one, Jordan Meredith, the redshirt sophomore from Bowling Green, guilty of the infraction. So now they have a 2nd and 15 back at the 33-yard line. So they're going backwards right now with 7:17 to go before halftime.
Single coverage up top right now with Jernigan, one-on-one. He's got cushion.
Duncan wanted to go there. Instead, he comes underneath. And it's going to be Lucky Jackson. Pushes his way down to about the 17-yard line.
Yeah, he definitely wanted to go up top to Jernigan, but you had Needham up top, giving him a lot of cushion. Tried to sit down on that route. He looked at him for a long time. Then he ended up coming back to his second read. Great job. Great job right there. I know Randall Hill in studio right now, real excited about what's going on at the wide receiver position for this team tonight. Violence, blocking, a little bit of showboating. They got their touchdown dances in. This is all Randall Hill, the thrill football game tonight.
Charles Arbuckle, too, is a 2-time All-American tight end. I mean, he used to put fear in the eyes of defensive backs. Duncan.
Oh, my goodness.
Tries to run over instead of making a cut. But I guess when you're 6'4", 230, you can do that.
He put his head down, and he said, I got no move for you. Me and you, one-on-one.
Boy, he just runs over Justin Rogers. So gain of 18 on the play, and this time, nothing going at the line of scrimmage. As you see, number 55 make another stop, Mike Soto.
Take a peek at Fortenberry after he runs him over here, too. Wanted to ask him if he was doing okay. Yeah, you okay.
Well, Duncan's having a good time playing quarterback.
What a night tonight for Western Kentucky in this offense.
So it's 2nd and goal. Remember, they had faced a 2nd and 15 just moments ago. Appleberry. No, it's going to be Duncan. Duncan sees the end zone, pitches it. Penalty flag. That was a forward pass over the line of scrimmage, so it's going to come back.
I like where his head's at, though.
Yeah.
My goodness. Acrobatic right there. If he was behind the line of scrimmage, this would have been nice and purty right there. He didn't want nothing of Houchens, so let's not be out of our mind. I know it's one thing to go ahead and run over a safety, but you definitely don't want no part of 230 pounds out of Portland, Oregon.
Illegal forward pass on the offense, number 10. 5-yard penalty for the spot of the foul, loss of down.
Well,
Third
like you said, nice thought, poor execution. And the Hilltoppers will try it again on third and
Honestly,
goal.
you're looking at 30-0 right now in this ball game, and it feels like they're playing recess football. Like that's the feel that you get right now in this stadium. People at home watching this game right now, they're having so much fun on this football field right now because everything is working. Even the negative plays that they seem to have, very few and far between, they overcome. That's how good this offense is clicking right now.
Boy, Duncan's going down. Well, once again, it's number 3, so Sione Tupou gets his second sack. Oh, Houchens, excuse me, I thought it was 3. It's 9.
Yeah, he came blazing off that end. They ended up pulling the backside tight end right there, Dean. I'm sure Dean was the one that was supposed to get across the formation to go ahead and pick up Houchens.
So Ranella on again. Could be a 38-yard attempt. He's already hit from 22. He's 6 for 9 on the year. Penalty flag dropped at the snap. If it goes against Western Kentucky, the Hilltoppers kind of shooting themselves in the foot on this drive. First time they've done that all night.
Offside. 55 of the defense. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
So Ranella gets to kick it 5 yards closer as Mike Soda guilty of the infraction for the Miners of UTEP. So this will be a 33-yard kick for Ranella, the redshirt junior. And Ranella has his second field goal, one from 22, this one from 33. And the Hilltoppers have 33 points on the board.
Doesn't it just seem like every single time something bad happens, something good ends up happening for Western Kentucky? Just when you thought you were going to go ahead and have to kick a long field goal, they give you 5 more yards. It's 33-0 here in Bowling Green, Kentucky, as they're taking on UTEP.
Alex Ranella capped off a 33-yard, 9-play, 38-yard drive with a 33-yard field goal, using up 4 minutes and 9 seconds. You take a look at the last 5 seasons. How about 15 and 16 back-to-back Conference USA championships? And Jeff Brom, of course, leaves. Last year, Mike Sanford comes in. They go 6 and 6 in the regular season. Lost the bowl game, and now they're rebuilding.
And if you look at the way that UTEP on the other sideline has been doing it as well, they've gotten a lot better in a lot of their categories. So you see UTEP kind of climbing. Unfortunately, the score doesn't reflect it now, but they've been getting better as a team as well so far here in 2018.
Junior with another shot at the 3. Fumbled the football. Took his eyes off of it, and he's going to have a tough time closing or getting to the edge as he's dumped at about the 3-yard line.
Come on, Terry. Your team needs him, my man. Something that is definitely not on his resume of dropping kickoffs like this. It's kind of hard for watching him get up and his body language and ultimately his disgust for what's going on so far tonight. Somebody needs to go over there and talk to him, get him going a little bit, because they're going to need him for another half of football.
So Western Kentucky usually starts with a great field position. Dana Dimel and the Miners now back at their 4-yard line, trailing 33-0. Last year, Western Kentucky beat the Miners 15-14. Devin Key comes up to make the stop. Trayvon Hughes, the senior, that's the first time we've called his name tonight. He gets his first carry.
Waxahachie, Texas, huh?
You took back on it. I wanted to say that.
I'm waiting.
Waxahachie. Keep this one on the ground again inside 4 minutes here in the first half.
I know the people watching at home probably don't want to see gut run up the middle right now at this point in time, but at this rate, it's going to take a little bit more. I imagine they're doing this because they see the safeties that are in the box, and they're going to go ahead and try to test them, allow Loxley to throw something down the field a little bit. They also don't like the fact that Eric Brown's running over towards the sideline. He's got his hands out because he doesn't know what's going on.
they're going to move the chains. It was 3rd and short, so they're going to pick up the first down now with 3:19. Clock is running. So Trayvon Hughes coming off the sidelines. Workhorse on that series of downs.
Clearly a big fella, too. He's about 240 pounds coming out of that backfield, trying to bruise up that defensive unit right now at Western Kentucky.
Loxley with twin receivers to the top of your screen. This one's almost picked off. Intended receiver was David Lucero.
Ruffin almost got himself one right there.
And Deontay Ruffin, the sophomore out of Kenner, Louisiana, that would have been his first.
Going up top. The thing is you got the safeties that are sitting down in the zone. Devin Key's sitting down there for the run game, the run support. Ruffin's a single high that's over there in the corner, but it's almost like they're just sitting back there waiting to pick these guys off. I don't know if Loxley's not looking the safeties off well enough, but it just seems like they got their number tonight.
Loxley just has to get rid of this one. Here's a pick six. Gage Walker, redshirt sophomore from Tampa, has a pick six, his first INT of the season, number 5 in the game for Western Kentucky.
I'm telling you, I'm looking for Oprah Winfrey in the stands, because you get a pick and you get a pick and you get a pick. The 5 interceptions so far in this first half. My goodness. Pick 6. You see him getting flustered right now, and just throwing off his back foot, throwing up the ball across the field. Hash all the way over to the numbers. You can't do that.
So the Hilltoppers came in at -2, and now they're at +3 on the season. 5 picks, 11 on the year now. Ty Loxley, his dad Mike Loxley, the offensive coordinator at Alabama. And the Hilltoppers now with the most points scored in any game this year. Of course, they had 34 in that tough loss to Old Dominion, that crazy loss where they had 3 untimed plays at the end. And Old Dominion kicked the field goal to beat them. I mean, they had that game wrapped up, or so they thought.
Yeah, they've suffered some pretty heartbreaking losses. I know you take each one of them as a learning lesson, but to have 4 of your games within 3 points, you know, that's only a matter of going back and looking at the film and seeing 1 or 2 plays that you could have done differently throughout the football game to change that outcome.
Well, Julian Bowers now joins Terry Janelle as the deep man, as Alex Ranella gets ready to kick off again for Western Kentucky. 40 zip, 2:42 to go before halftime here on senior night. 10 seniors that had the highs and lows of experience, well, back-to-back Conference USA championships. And of course, this year still looking for that first conference win. Only win coming against Ball State so far this year. Janelle backs up. He's inside the 5. He takes it at the 3. Clean catch this time, and this time he gets some running room. Penalty flag drop. He's all the way up over the 30-yard line, and he's up to the 40. So Janelle patiently waited for his blocks, and he gets up over the 40-yard line. Again, penalty flag way back at the 22.
That's going to be a block.
But that flag traveled about 12 yards.
Return. Illegal block in the back. Number 33, the return team. 10-yard penalty from the spot. First down.
Billy Williams, our referee in this Conference USA.
Yeah, the one thing that coaches will always teach you, you saw him come into your screen right now and just flash in there, but what they always see is you got to see the whites of the eyes of the guy that you're about to block. If you can't see his eyes, you shouldn't touch him. You got to put your hands up, you got to run by him, scream, do whatever you got to do to let him know that you're around him. But unless you're seeing the whites of that player's eyes, more than likely you're probably going to get a call for a block in the back.
So Loxley goes back to work. 3 picks he's thrown so far, 9 for the season now against 3 touchdowns. The last one, a pick 6 by Gage Walker. Near side, and this one's incomplete.
I just don't like the way right now I'm looking at number 1, and I'm watching him set up in the pocket. His feet are too happy. He's not setting himself. Even times when he has plenty of space and time to throw the football, he's just not resting. He's not setting his feet and delivering strikes in there. He's got his feet standing side by side. It's almost happy feet in there.
2nd and 10. They'll keep this one on the ground. Wadley, the ball carrier. Quadres, coming off that 99-yard game last week. I haven't called his name much tonight.
Western Kentucky, their second, 30 seconds.
See number 25 there, Messiah Whites. He and DeAndre Ferris were high school teammates on this field, winning a state championship a few years back. Now both fifth-year seniors playing their final home game here in front of the Western Kentucky fans. Mike Sanford couldn't say enough good things about the fans that have stuck with the team this year during the rebuilding and the downtime.
Yeah, it's been a little rough for the people here in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and trying to cheer on their team. But tonight it seems like they might be getting a nice little reward as the senior night is sending some of these guys off tonight with big win. And I know we're only in the second quarter, but it's 40-0. And as long as these guys continue at the pace that they are playing at right now, it could be a rough ride home for Coach Dimel and his team all the way back over to the western part of Texas.
Yeah, I wonder when the last time the Miners were down 40-0 in the first half. See the 10 seniors on the rosters. 15-16, 12-2, and 11-3. And some of those guys are playing in the National Football League right now. And Hilltoppers have, what, 8 on NFL rosters? Southern Miss leads Conference USA, followed by Louisiana Tech and then Western Kentucky. As far as having alumni on NFL rosters this year. Loxley swings it out. And coming up to make the stop again is Eli Brown. Eli Brown is having a good game.
It's blood in the water right now, Mike. That's what's going on. It's watch the quarterback here set up and throw this football. I'm not exactly a quarterback whisperer, but I'm watching him almost lethargically delivering a football. He's not authoritative in there. His arm's not coming over the top. He's not stepping into his throws. And what looks to me, it's a possible knee situation right now. I don't like the way that he's running off of the football field. I don't like the way he stands around the huddle at this point in time. That 55-60% healthy situation is really affecting the way that he's performing tonight.
Number 11, Eric Brown, also limped off the field for the Miners, Brett. And again, Loxley, as the coach has said, only playing at about 55%, which I'm actually surprised that he's playing at all at 55%. But
well, you remember what it was like when we were out there in El Paso the last time we covered him. A little dinged up again, calling the coach throughout the week, saying, "Coach, I'm good to go. I'm good to go," and showing back up at practice, and the young man can barely walk around. So he definitely has the will and the want, but the health situation right now with him is a question mark.
Yeah, Loxley with a pair of 100-yard rushing games this year for UTEP, but obviously not the same player as he was earlier this year. Green takes it at the 45-yard line with the fair catch, and Mitchell Crawford, the junior from Australia, been kicking just in front of his end zone all night long.
What's interesting to me right now is I'm looking at some of these offensive statistics right now. If you're just tuning into this football game and you're seeing 40-0 with 2 minutes left in the first half, you would kind of figure, hey, we got a lot of offense going on right now. Big offensive night tonight for Western Kentucky, when really they have 94 yards rushing and 183 yards passing. So you're only looking at 277 yards right now tonight so far, with a score of 40-0. Defensive performance tonight, handedly they've been giving up some pretty breadbasket interceptions, but my goodness, they've earned a few as well.
Now the defense giving Duncan and company a great field position. Duncan throws, running to the left, throws back to the right, and Justin Rogers runs out of real estate that falls incomplete. Jernigan was the intended receiver for Western Kentucky. It'll be 2nd and 10 with A minute 53 to go before halftime. So Stephen Duncan came in the final possession against Charlotte, went 7 of 10, 11 play, 75-yard drive, ended with a touchdown, and came off the bench against Ball State. Scored on 3 of 4 drives. Whoa. Now there's a lot of beef coming up to Hitches. Chris Richardson.
Yeah. Had that screen developing right there. The only problem I had with that screen right now was that center Yost. He needed to go ahead and get down the line of scrimmage a little bit flatter and then turn up, because he ended up missing the block that ultimately made the tackle.
3rd and 5. Duncan pump fakes, and Duncan's going to go down again. Another sack for the Miners. And again, it's Houchens, number 9. He came in with 4. He's got 2 tonight. Boy, Brett, you look at Houchens.
UTEP. They're second. 30 seconds of
The top 3 tackles per game in Conference USA. I mean, it's interesting. Of course, we have Ben Holt over on Western Kentucky side, but you've got Sage Lewis at FIU at 10.6, Houchens at 10.5, and Ben Holt at 10.4. So that's quite a battle going on as far as who's going to win that crown as tackles per game in Conference USA.
I just like the toughness right now walking off that football field. I ended up watching Houchens going off the field, and he's in some pain now. He sat on that field for a couple seconds, gathered himself. You can clearly see right now he's got something going on with that left arm of his. But both telling the trainer to get out of my way, man. I don't need anything. I'm good to go.
You had mentioned 14 tackles last week. His high this year is 15 against UAB. And you see coming in with 105 tackles before the game started. So Alex Ranella. This one goes off the side of his foot. But it takes a Hilltopper bounce inside the 15-yard line. It's going to be downed eventually. Eventually at the 10. 67 seconds to go before halftime, and it's going to be interesting to see what Dana Dimel, what his talk at halftime will be to his Miners.
I have never been in a situation like this before where I had to have a head coach stand in front of me and try to explain to me why we're down 40 points at halftime, but it's evident. Everybody else knows what's going on right now on offense. They can't win right now at any point, at any juncture, whatever they're trying to do. Run the football, pass the football. Not saying the final outcome they can't win. I'm saying that they're just not doing anything right now that is turning out to be a positive result. Everywhere they throw the football, it seems to be an interception.
They keep it on the ground. That victory against Rice for the Miners snapped a 13-game road skid. If they won tonight, it'd be the first back-to-back road win since 2005, but that obviously is not going to happen now with a 40-0 deficit they'll have to climb out of. It'll be miraculous. That'll be one for the ages if they can come back here in the second half. Picked up 5 on the first play, so it's 2nd and 5 with 33 seconds to go. This could be the final play of the first half as they head for the locker room and try to regroup. Coming up at halftime, of course, Jeremy St. Louis, Randall Hill, Charles Arbuckle back in the studio. Here's Wadley. Wadley gets up close to the 20-yard line, but that'll probably do it in the first half. Just 12 seconds to go.
Yeah, they're heading to the sideline. They're heading to the tunnel right now.
So that's the final play of the first half. And Brett Romberg, your thoughts after 30 minutes?
I think right now it's Coach Dimel's job to just try to keep these guys' spirits up when you go into that locker room. Strategy at this point in time, what kind of adjustment can you make? You got to stand there and tell them, don't throw the football, don't turn the ball over. Right now, I think it's just all about keeping guys' spirits positive. Slowly but surely having one play after another play, trying to gain a little bit of ground and make up some of that 40-point deficit. But again, it's just all about the spirit that these guys are going to have to come out of the tunnel with in the second half.
Hilltopper defense came in with 6 INTs. They're up to 11 now. 5 picks, including a pick 6 in the first half. And coming up on the other side, we head down to Miami, the BN Sports halftime report with Jeremy St. Louis, Randall Hill, and Charles Arbuckle. 40-0 Western Kentucky with the lead at halftime on senior night 2018.
We are at halftime at Houchens Smith Stadium in Bowling Green, Kentucky, and it is the host Hilltoppers all over the UTEP Miners by a score of 40-0 on senior night. Well, this is the performance that I think Mike Sanford and company, all Hilltopper fans, have been waiting for in this particular matchup. But what a start for Western Kentucky in this game.
Yeah, it seems like if you're UTEP, you're give it away, give it away, give it away now. I mean, they just kept giving the ball away. And I mean,
we need more song references between Gleason and you.
Kai Loxley, excuse me, I'm referencing his dad, started off the game doing that, and then it just kept compounding. We talked about them running the football, but they now have to throw, and Western Kentucky expects them to throw.
But if he's playing at 55-60%, Randall, why is he even in the game?
He shouldn't be in the game, and that's point blank. Because you know, West Kentucky, they're capitalized. They're doing exactly what they should be doing, and they are just I guess reaping the benefits of those balls being thrown to them.
Let's look at the highlights from the first half. An unbelievable start for the Hilltoppers, really. Kai Loxley and Brandon Jones, the two quarterbacks for the Miners. I mean, they completed more passes to Western Kentucky's defenders than they did to their own receivers. Western Kentucky get off to the hot start. They take the ball, go right down the field and score. So they're automatically up 6 right away. Miss the extra point, and then UTEP really starts shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah, I mean, it really is one of those situations where right away, the first 2 possessions they had were picked interceptions right away.
Yeah.
And I was thinking they were going to run the football. Western Kentucky did a nice job of taking advantage of those opportunities.
30 points off of turnovers for Western Kentucky. So without those turnovers, you're looking at a 10-0 ball game at halftime.
You want another song reference to the Roots, When Things Fall Apart? Well, I guess you can say UTEP was singing that loud and clear, and Western Kentucky was saying we'll capitalize.
One of the things that strikes me, though, Randall, is that Loxley is throwing the ball when he doesn't need to. He should just go down with it.
Yeah, he should go down with it, or you know what, give the fans a souvenir. Throw the ball way out of bounds, and you're not going to get in trouble with that. But you can't throw the ball in the play of field where defensive back's going to have the opportunity to get the ball and have a pick 6.
And Brett referenced it too during the game. I think they really did a nice job of just saying, okay, we know you're going to try to run the football, and for whatever reason, UTEP came out and said, no, we're determined to throw the football, and every time they put the ball in the air, they were ball hawks by Western Kentucky.
And for Stephen Duncan, I mean, here he is getting the start for Western Kentucky, and I mean, this is an ideal situation for his confidence as a young quarterback coming into this. You're getting all of these chances with your offense on the field and able to convert on most of them.
Yeah, he was 14 of 21 on the game so far, 2 touchdowns, and he was able to run the football effectively when he needed to.
And here's Western Kentucky turning more points in off of turnovers as Furby goes in. Once again for the Hilltoppers.
Those shiny helmets, I told you.
Shiny helmets, yeah.
The problem also, guys, is that your defense, that was a nice interception there. Your defense, if you're UTEP, they see this, and it's awful difficult to keep getting on the field and having to try to bail your offense out. Yeah. And you hope, if you're UTEP, that
these guys keep down.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're doing.
Well, and one of the things, too, and you heard Mike and Brett refer to it, this is the really bad one.
Yeah.
I mean, he just lobs it up there, really. I mean, I understand you're inside your own 10-yard line, but still eat the football versus giving up the 6.
Sometimes I've seen this happen, though. When you have teams where bad things start happening, they just keep happening. And for whatever reason, when you go at halftime, you better figure out a way to get something positive going.
14 yards rushing for UTEP, 42 yards passing, 56 total yards. And as mentioned, Western Kentucky just all over them. The 5 turnovers have certainly made the difference. 4 touchdowns and a field goal off of turnovers as they lead 40-0 at halftime over the UTEP Miners. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about this game and take a look at the national pictures. Quinn Jernigan gets in for Western Kentucky, not having any problems at halftime. Watching the beIN Sports College Football Halftime Show at the break in Bowling Green. It is the home side Western Kentucky up 40-0 on UTEP on senior night. We all took Western Kentucky for this one, right? That was how it all played out.
I did. I picked the shiny helmets,
but I did not. I'll be honest.
Yeah, you picked the shiny things.
Smarter than the average bear.
Yeah.
Hey, boo-boo.
Not Stranger Things, shiny things.
Yeah. Okay, so obviously, I mean, in terms of second half adjustments, if you're Dana Dimel right now, are you throwing on everybody who hasn't really had a lot of playing time?
You may, but you also better adjust the attitudes of whoever's playing. We saw it even we talked about it in the break. Sometimes guys don't look like they're really in it, you better find out who wants to play, who wants to get back on that plane and help you moving forward.
Randall, is it 0-0 if you're Mike Sanford?
Nah, man, he beating the brakes off of him, man.
The rotors, the calipers, everything.
No, listen, but you still have to go out, and I will see the starters probably play one or two series, and then you're going to probably bring in some of your younger guys who need to get some experience going forward for next year.
Win the half. That would be my advice for Dana Dimel. Win the half.
Hey, win a drive, a series.
Yeah,
just win one, right? Just do something positive in this drive. If I'm a coach, I'm saying, look, guys, we can't play any worse than we did. You better go out there and do something positive. Win your drive. Just go out the first half, that second half, and whatever we do, let's win it.
And because Western Kentucky took the ball first half, UTEP should get the ball to start the second half. So they get the chance to get on the board. You cannot be shut out in Bowling Green for sure. Certainly, this is good news for Hilltopper fans and for Mike Sanford. A lot of fans probably going, where has this been all season long? Great to see if you're a Hilltoppers fan. Not so great for UTEP fans. Let's see how the second half goes. Second half action is coming up next. Back out to Mike Gleason and Brett Romberg. In Bowling Green. 40-0, Western Kentucky lead.
Welcome back to Western Kentucky. That's Kyle Loxley right there warming up for the second half. The Miners will get the ball to open up the second half. You see the 4 INTs in the first quarter, Brett. 5 for the first half.
Yeah, it just seems like nothing was going right. Every single series that UTEP ended up taking the field, it ended in an interception. Not only just a regular interception, but the majority of them either ended up in the red zone or they ended up for a pick 6. So that's why you see the demonstrative number right now being up 40-0 coming out of this tunnel.
56 yards total for Dana Dimel's Miners in the first half. But because of the picks, they only had the football 9 minutes and 28 seconds. So you can't do a whole lot in 9 minutes and 28 seconds.
Well, that means that these guys are going to be well rested for next week's game, that's for sure.
No doubt about that. UTEP will be home in El Paso, close out the 2018 season against Southern Miss. Western Kentucky will be on the road at Louisiana Tech. So Western Kentucky, I asked your thoughts when Sanford decided to, they won the toss and they took the football. I was a little bit surprised in that, but they drove down 75 yards on their first possession, had the extra point blocked on their first touchdown. But that's about the only negative thing that's happened for Western Kentucky in the entire first half.
Yeah, and it seemed like, being 0-6 in the conference, whatever they were doing in the past wasn't working. So why not try something different and go ahead and elect to go ahead and get that possession and open up the game and see if they can create something.
See number 2 there, Terry Janelle, and number 8, Julian Bowers, back to receive the kick here to open up the second half. 56 yards of total offense. Miners average about 175 passing yards. They have 42 in the first half. They were 4 for 15 with 5 interceptions. Janelle will take a knee, and the Miners will take it at the 25-yard line. So the Miners are trying to rebuild Dana Dimel's first season. Scored 34 2 weeks ago, 32 last week. Now still looking for their first points. I don't think they can erase a 40-0 deficit, but they hope to get something going in the second half. And you talk about that long plane ride back to El Paso where they close next week against Southern Miss.
Well, it seems like if the head coach's attitude is as contagious as we think it's going to be. Coach Dimel had nothing but smiles. We went out there to Texas and interviewed him the last time we covered El Paso, Texas. And it was just nothing but smiles. Every single sentence that he had was, how about this player? And he was like, he's injured. Well, what about that player? He's injured too. But he would always have a smile on his face, and he said, you know what, I can't come to work every day miserable because it's going to reflect on the way that I'm coaching, my staff, and my players. So as long as they keep that attitude positive, I think they're going to be okay.
Well, they were getting better and better and better. It wasn't showing up in the win column, but they certainly had a lot of fight in that game we did against North Texas. Jones gets the start instead of Loxley here to open up the second half. He was 3 for 6 in that first half with a couple of picks. Here's Jones near side. Nice effort by Foster, Keenan Foster, the junior out of Lake Stevens, Washington. It falls incomplete.
Yeah, I like the way that he went ahead and pushed off his defensive back as well. You saw him kind of setting inside right now in terms of his coverage. I think he's trying to play the run a little bit more than they're trying to play the pass, but you see the way that number 15 is going with him, Takorian Dart, and he's all over the field with him.
So it's 2nd and 10. As Jones looks over at the sidelines, gets the call. Quadres Wadley in the backfield with Jones. Play action. Jones is going down.
And that is the senior, Mr. Ben Holt, going ahead and add one to the resume on his big senior send-off. You see Holt on the blitz right now. He's coming through the right-hand side of the screen, just nonstop, finishing, making that tackle. I got to correct myself. Ben Holt's not a senior.
But his brother played here.
Yeah, his brother. Both of them captains, ironically.
Matter of fact, just the 2nd time that he and Nick were the captains. So one of 2 sets of brothers as captains at Western Kentucky in the history of their program. Oh, that pocket's just collapsing again on Jones. Nice job of escaping. And Brandon Jones gets up near the 35-yard line. The first down is the 35.
Interesting to see Jones want to go ahead and take on the tackler, DeAndre Ferris, right there. One of the team captains for Western Kentucky in this defense. Great escapability right here. The pocket's totally collapsing on him, but what I like is the fact that the offensive linemen continually are blocking. Nobody's taking the play off. They're finishing. They're trying to give some kind of life to their quarterback.
Look at this. Gain of 15. It's 4th down. They're down by 40. And the ball's on the 34-yard line.
Trying to get him to jump.
Oh, they're going for it. And it's a pass. And it's complete. Josh Weeks is tripped up at the 30-yard line. So last week, Josh Weeks had 4 catches for 71. His previous best was 43. Picks up a big gain that time of 38.
Yeah, the problem right there is old number 36 was on the end of the line of scrimmage. Kyle Bailey is supposed to have that one-on-one coverage, but that tight end ended up splitting him and going up the football field, and he didn't cover his man.
Nice call by the Miner coaching staff. They pick up 38, going for it on 4th down. Western Kentucky was 2 for 2 going for it on 4th down in the first half. This one's complete to Reddix. Warren Reddix puts his head down and gets down to the 20-yard line. This looks like the Miners have a little bit of life here in the second half, at least.
Yeah, going to the tunnel, I was talking about it. They just got to have a positive attitude, come on out and do little chunks by little chunks, and eventually gain some momentum and take away from that 40-point lead.
Miners now with 100 yards of offense. Trips to the top of your screen for Brandon Jones. This one's complete. Far side, down to the 11-yard line. And it's complete to Trayshawn Wolf, true freshman from Victoria, Texas.
I also like the fact that Terry Janelle, their star, is out there on the edge blocking, giving an opportunity for his other wide receivers.
You know, Brett, they don't pass for a lot, but they spread it around 15 different receivers on a team that only picks up about 175 yards through the air per game. That was only the 6th catch for the freshman Wolf. And it's 1st and 10 at the 11-yard line. Jones looking for broke, has it, touchdown. Janelle. So Terry Janelle comes up with a touchdown. That's going to be his 3rd this year. And the Miners down 40-0, open up the second half with a very impressive drive.
Yeah, it looked like a little bit of miscommunication going on once it got into the end zone between DeAndre Ferris and Takorian Darden right there, number 15 and 22. Got a little tripped up with each other, giving Janelle the nice wide open opportunity.
So Brandon Jones now has rushed for 2 touchdowns, thrown for 2 touchdowns, and thrown for 2 picks. They're going for 2 obviously here. Little fade. Reddix has it. And they have the 2-point conversion.
Darrell Green was a little bit late to that play right there, kind of giving him a wide open opportunity. That's the sense of urgency that Brandon Jones just had right there. 7 plays, 75 yards, taking 3 1/4 off the clock. It's 40-8 here in Bowling Green.
Well, 40-8, so Brett. Last week when they scored 22 fourth quarter points, it's one of two things. Shows that Middle Tennessee either took the foot off the accelerator or the Miners had a lot of fight left in them. I got to believe it's the latter.
Yeah, I really do believe it's the latter. I watched some of that film as well, and they did. They just never gave up. They had that same attitude that the coaches were talking about, going to practice every day, showing up, putting in the hard work and the effort that it's going to take to make this program a lot better.
Well, it's Jacorian Darden and Garland LaFrance back to receive the kick, and it's going to be taken at the goal line. LaFrance spins his way over the 30-yard line. So the true freshman from New Orleans, with a nice return. And once again, Western Kentucky has decent field position. They've had great field position the whole game.
Yeah, it's been, it hasn't been one of the things that they've had to worry about, that's for sure, going into this game, starting inside or near their own end zone.
There's that drive you talked about. The Miners 7 plays, 75 yards to open up the second half. Janelle gets the scoring strike from Brandon Jones.
And the reason why they got that 2-point conversion and that touchdown was because little miscommunication and kind of a lazy setup on that defensive backfield area.
So Stephen Duncan opens up the second half from the gun. It's going to be Samuel. Samuel slips through a nice hole up over the 35 to the 36. Nick Needham coming up from the cornerback spot to make the tackle. Duncan in that first half, 14 of 21, a buck 88, 2 touchdowns with a long throw of 38. Senior day, they're still looking for their first conference win, so I got the funny feeling that Western Kentucky, they don't want to take their foot off the accelerator. Duncan slips through the hands, had to rush the pass. Catchable ball, but it just slipped through Lucky Jackson.
Yeah, he kind of delivered that thing a little bit too hot after trying to avoid getting that ball stripped out of his arm.
Well, it's going to be third down after that 75-yard drive. But if the Miners could force a 3-and-out right now,
that'd be a great turnaround. That'd be a lot better start to this second half than it was the first, that's for sure.
Pearson in motion to the bottom of your screen now. Duncan from the gun. Here comes the rush. Duncan lets her go, and this one's incomplete.
Well, at least they put a hat on the quarterback right there, being a little disruptive. You had both Houchens and Tupou over there in that backfield, trying to go ahead and rush the pass.
Chris Leach was the intended receiver. Janelle now back to receive the punt.
That's got to be the first 3-and-out of the ball game right there for UTEP's defense.
You think? You gave up 40 in the first half?
Well, I don't know if you remember last year's game when these guys ended up playing against each other. Last year it was a 15-14 game. UTEP missing 3 field goals in that game.
Well, Janelle holds on to it. He was run into by his own teammate. Looked like Justin Rogers barreled into him. Good concentration on Janelle. He holds on to it. And the Miners force the punt. They have the football back with 10 minutes and 34 seconds to go. Third quarter at Western Kentucky. Hilltoppers up 40-8. Back in Bowling Green, Kentucky, 40-8. Guess what, Brett? There's yet another bowl game coming up on the horizon.
Yeah, they ended up going ahead and announcing the new creation of the Myrtle Beach Bowl beginning in 2020.
Congratulations
Nice,
to Devin
yeah.
Singletary, named a semifinalist for the Doak Walker. 3 finalists to be named November 19th. The Jack Fox of Rice named a semifinalist for the Ray Guy Award. You might say, hey, Stone Wilson of FIU is averaging 46 yards, the most in the league, but Fox has a long of 76. He's had 21 50 plus. And he's had 23 inside the 20, so I guess that's warranted. So congratulations to both Singletary and Fox. Jones goes up over the middle, has his man, and boy, the Miners look like a different football team. Again, it's number 83, Trayshawn Wolf, with his second catch in the second half.
Yeah, on top of that, getting right behind that defense. DeAndre Ferris picking on the team captain right there. Beautifully thrown ball in stride. You could notice a difference right now in the quarterback play, the way that Brandon Jones is playing versus the way that Kyle Oxley was playing. I think it's an injury situation right over there on that sideline, the reason why Brandon Jones is in there delivering that football like that.
And he delivered for 48 yards on that completion to the freshman Trayshawn Wolf. Puts the ball at the 30-yard line. Twin receivers to the top of your screen. That's where he wants to go. And he fires, and it's down on the turf, intended for Terry Janeel. Pressure by Jawan Jones, the redshirt freshman from Sugar Hill, Georgia, who happens to have 4 sacks. That ties the FBS record for freshmen here at Western Kentucky.
Coming up, getting the audible call from the sideline.
Jones, Warren Reddix. Boy, nice job waiting for his block. He took a hit. Boy, Messiah White. Reddix pops up. Boy, White comes over full steam, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's one of the issues. If you want to go ahead and pivot off that foot and go back into that traffic, you better be prepared. He was prepared. He had his head down, ready to go ahead and take a shot from linebacker Messiah White, coming over screaming as fast as he could.
So Brandon Jones, after a 75-yard scoring drive, now has it down at the 23-yard line. And their second series of the second half. Wadley spins. And he almost spun to freedom, but again, was it White that met him head on, or was it Holt?
Holt was the one that ended up getting through the defensive lineman and getting into the backfield of UTEP and ended up missing the tackle. And you see him clap his hands right there and give the damn call. And then he goes and retracts and goes ahead and makes that tackle about 2 or 3 yards up the field.
Here's the formation that they threw the pass.
Yeah, it's that same look again.
Timeout.
Yeah, the Miners 1 for 1 on 4th down on the year, just 4 of 12
30 seconds.
coming in. So we'll make it 5 of 13 as I show my math skills.
Very impressive.
Which are very limited. So the Hilltoppers of Western Kentucky, the Miners of UTEP, both 1-9, both in the rebuilding mode. Todd Stewart, the athletic director here at Western Kentucky. We did not get confirmation on the story that you talked about, that the last 2 games are very important for this coaching staff. But this obviously has to bode well. If they can keep this up, winning at Louisiana Tech in Ruston is not going to be easy. You know, Brett, even if they win this football game, they can't ill afford a meltdown here in the second half. And this one's batted away as the Hilltoppers look for interception number 6. Devin Key back there along with Ferris. Ferris playing in his 48th game here for Western Kentucky.
Yeah, clearly this ball comes back there and the quarterback was not even looking to take the snap. I've been in that situation before. That's a nightmare. Luckily it actually hit the quarterback. Luckily the center actually snapped a really good snap, and it was stopped by the body of Brandon Jones right there, and all they had to do was bend over and pick it up. But yeah, he's got to get ready for that one. I'm going to put the blame on the quarterback, of course.
as a former center would.
Yeah.
So the Miners turn it over on downs. They stall at the 22. Here comes Western Kentucky again. Samuel puts his head down, moves the pile. Wow. He got hit at about the 26. He moves it all the way to the 31-yard line.
Nice downhill running play, and he seems like he put his head down right about here. And he not only had Fountainberry over there as well, or Fort Berry trying to go ahead and help him out and get a couple extra yards.
Lucky Jackson close to the first down marker. Coming up to make the stop is Nick Needham along with Kahani Smith.
seems like Negan has a shoulder issue. Remember we were talking about his injury on his shoulder and how the young man continually just plays and plays and plays. And having shoulder issues this season and just giving everything he's got out there.
Needham, one of the veterans, making his 40th start. Boy, Appleberry, the freshman, running hard. Picks up the first down. Gets up over the 35-yard line.
Yeah, it seems like the game plan right now is to continually run out this clock, keep the ball away from UTEP. So if they're going to continually rotate in their running back situation with Appleberry and Samuel and even bringing Big Ferb in there, it seems like that three-headed snake at running back is going to bode well for them grinding down this clock.
Speaking of Furby wrapped up by Trace Mascoro, the sophomore out of Texas. Furby already with a couple of touchdown runs in this his final home game as the fifth-year senior.
Yeah, they're really running this clock out right now.
And considering the fact they're looking for their first win, that's a pretty classy move, really, when these players were having a blast. Duncan, play action, has his man. Jernigan, the intended receiver, at the 48-yard line, a little bit high. Too high to handle.
Kind of sounds like Bob Uecker right there. Kind of high, just a bit outside. The kids can't be the only ones having fun either, Mike. We got to be having fun up here in the booth as well.
Well, I laugh because I grew up in northern Michigan. I heard a lot of Brewer games, even though I was a Tiger fan. A lot of the radio stations carried the Milwaukee Brewers with Merle Harmon and Bob Uecker. Duncan fires, had a lot of time, and this one is going to be picked. Oh, it's dropped. Kahani Smith, the senior out of Los Angeles, had it. Actually, I'm not sure how he dropped that one.
I think it was Lucky Jackson getting his hand involved in that one, and Lucky seemed to figure it out as the ball was in the air that he had no hope of actually catching that football. So his first instinct was to go ahead and get involved and knock this ball away.
Oh, you're right. Good call. But the Miners forcing the Hilltoppers to punt again. Ranella from the 25. Janelle standing back at the 20, calls for the fair catch at the 20-yard line. Well, the Hilltoppers, as you point out, ate some clock. There's 6 minutes and 1 second to go in the third quarter. We're going to take a timeout here. 40-8. Western Kentucky looking for their first conference win in 2018. Final home game for Western Kentucky, and they are rolling right now 40-8. 6:01 to go in the third quarter. Already saw Devin Singletary. Here's another potential player of the year in Conference USA.
The fact that he's averaging 310 yards a game. We watched him kind of grow up here on Conference USA. I know Bean's coverage started when he ultimately started. Not exactly an imposing player when we first saw his action when he got into the first football game we covered, and my goodness did he develop. Just lethal.
25 touchdowns, 4 picks. He threw for 30 touchdowns last year when he was the offensive player of the year, and of course Singletary won the player of the year in Conference USA. Jones back on the field. Holtz, here comes the blitz. Jones has nowhere to go, and he's tripped up. So it's going to be Masai White getting credit for that sack. It's going to be his 4th this year.
Yeah, the right tackle thought he was going to be all alone right there. Brooksy thought he was going to pick up Holt off of the edge, and he forgot about Masai White also looping around the end as well. The offensive line has to pass that off, or the quarterback has to see that and get rid of it.
So White, just like his buddy DeAndre Ferris, playing in his 48th game, picks up the sack, and it's 2nd and 21 now for Brandon Jones and company. That looked like a run from the get-go, but 2nd and 21, I'm not sure of the call. unless he saw something there that he thought he could take advantage of.
Well, if I'm the running back right now, I'm in the backfield and I see both defensive tackles go shade on the center, it just seems to me that you're going to go ahead and bounce that football to the outside when 2 of your 4 defensive linemen are in the A-gaps. Instead, he ended up just running it right up the gut and getting tackled in the middle because big old 99 was sitting right there.
Picked up 2, so it's 3rd and 19. Jones fires, far side. Reddix stopped at the 20, and they're going to have to punt it away.
Western Kentucky's going to get this ball back now with pretty decent field position, and my guess is they're going to go back to that run game to try to eat up some more of this clock. You got 4 minutes and about 10 seconds left by the time this punt's kicked off.
Drell Green standing at the 36-yard line. Crawford's punt won't make it that far. It hits at the 44. Takes a minor bounce, but it's going to be down just inside the 40-yard line. So penalty flag dropped way back at the 34 on the far side of the field. Not sure what that's all about. Well, that flag came flying far away from the action.
Yeah, but he keeps looking back to Western Kentucky's sideline, which means he's looking for a number of one of the jerseys that's walking off the field right now. I think this one might go against Western Kentucky.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness on the kicking team, number 21. 15-yard penalty on the end of the run. First down.
So Justin Prince, guilty of the infraction for UTEP. Now the field judge wants to talk it over now with Billy Williams, the referee. Make sure they got that play right. Billy Williams. No, not the Billy Williams who used to play for the Chicago Cubs back in the day.
Nor the actor. Minus the D in the middle.
Gale Sayers. Brian Song. Well, that was a great movie, though, wasn't it? ESPN tried to redo it. You just don't redo classics like that. ESPN butchered it.
Yeah, I think they're trying to get their numbers correct and their jerseys correct right now. And for that matter, I'm wondering if they even got it on the right side of the ball.
Well, they got it wrong a couple times in the first half. The numbers, that is, not the call, the numbers. So here comes the mark-off.
The personal foul is on the receiving team.
Oh, okay.
That'll be a 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. First down.
So you had it right initially.
Yeah, I'm not going to pat myself on the back, but I had it right.
I'll pat you on the back for you.
Oh, that is a pat on the back I'm hearing from the truck. My fault. I apologize for that.
But how sincere is the apology?
Yeah, good point.
Eddie Senegal. So the infraction goes against Western Kentucky. It pushes the ball inside the 25 to the 24-yard line now for Stephen Duncan. He goes to work inside 4 minutes, quarter number 3. Duncan pulled that ball out, wanted to go, and stumbled.
Yeah, reached up and kind of fell victim to the turf monster right there. I'm sure the boys in the film room will have a little chuckle about that.
I think Furby wanted it.
Nah, he ended up tripping up over Furby's right leg when he tried to go ahead and pull the ball back in.
Furby heads for the sidelines. Got back to the original line of scrimmage. Garland LaFrance, the freshman from New Orleans, in the backfield now with Duncan. 2nd and 10. Here's the freshman. Boy, he's got some wheels. Gets to the edge and gets the first down.
My goodness, he was about 3 yards out in front of his puller, Jordan Meredith, before he even got started.
So
wow, was he speedy.
LaFrance picks up 11 on the play. They move the chains.
The way he came off the sideline was pretty nonchalant. But once he got that ball in his lap, oh my.
Duncan fakes it this time, and Duncan goes right up the middle to the midfield stripe.
Nice little setup play call right there. Everything looked exactly the same, except Duncan ended up keeping the ball and going right up the hash.
And he picks up 13 more, and they move the chains again. Clock is running again after the resets. 2.5 minutes to go in the third quarter. Ball's up at the 49-yard line. Miners showing blitz, top of your screen. Duncan picks it up, and Jernigan's having a big game for the Hilltoppers. Another catch for him.
A lot of respect right now for the wide receiving unit at Western Kentucky, just by the coverage that they continually keep playing tonight. These DBs or corners are probably about 5 or 6 yards off the line of scrimmage, giving a nice little cushion because they don't want anything to get behind them.
Duncan fires. Fortenberry inside the 40 to about the 37-yard line. Redshirt sophomore from Opelika, Alabama. Boy, the tight ends we mentioned, Mike Wandine is second on the team in receptions, and Fortenberry comes right behind, third. There's a little bubble screen. Gets down to the 35 as Jernigan again. That's 7 catches now for Jernigan.
I'm going to be interested to seeing what Broderick Harrell's tackle total after tonight is going to be. He's been all over the field as well.
So Jernigan now flirting with a 100-yard game. He's up to 82 yards.
Marcus Floyd comes in the game to go ahead and replace him.
Second down. Furby. Boy, Furby almost busted through to the second level there. He gets down to the 30-yard line. It's going to bring up a third down and about 3.
I think we got a minor down.
Looks like he might have got kicked where you don't want to get kicked. It's Josh Ortega. Local product from El Paso, only a sophomore.
He's in a lot of pain.
Yeah, well, that can be painful, I'll tell you that. I'm sure in your playing days,
you don't say.
You got kicked a few times.
Yeah,
hopefully not slugged.
It tended to get a little eventful at the bottom of piles sometimes. The behavior is never condoned nor condemned, as the coaches would tell you.
Hey, partner, when I was doing local sports in Columbus, Ohio, there was this girl going to the Olympic softball team, and I was pitching to her at an indoor facility, getting filmed, but I was putting the balls on my forearm. So I had like 3 balls on my forearm.
You don't say.
And I pitched, softballs on the forearm, and I pitched to her, and she hit a shot right back at the mound, and I lowered my, but I didn't want to drop the softballs.
Oh, of course not.
So it just went underneath my forearm and nailed me square.
There you go. That'll wake you up in the morning, boy.
I thought I was headed for the hospital. I really did. All the photographer could do was laugh.
You weren't wearing a cup? In baseball, you're supposed to wear a cup.
That's his softball.
Oh.
Here's Furby. Oh, he almost busted it again. So the 5th-year senior having a good game. And they're going to move the chains again now with 44 seconds to go.
Yeah, that's the game plan right now, is just keep that game clock going.
New set of downs for Duncan.
You're looking at about a 10-second separation between the play clock and the quarter.
Whistles blow this one dead.
Yeah, false start right there.
False start. 85, the offense. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Still first down.
Now, Furby has 42 yards, a couple of touchdowns. I thought it'd be more than that, but he's going to break one up the middle before this ball game's over.
Yeah, the defense will eventually start breaking down, especially with those arm tackles. There's only so much a defense can take. And Furby, the size that he is and the amount of carries that he's getting, the rotation that they have in there, the fresh legs that they continuously put in that backfield, they're going to start busting through some of these arm tackles.
This will be the final play of the third quarter. Duncan looking, finding. Fortenberry is tripped up just inside the 20-yard line. A nice play by Justin Rogers. Fortenberry might have gotten down to the 10, maybe the 5. He picks up 12 on the play, and that is going to be the final play of the third quarter. So we've got 15 minutes of the final quarter, final home game, 2018. Hilltoppers with the ball on the move, up 40-8. Well, welcome back to Western Kentucky. Just trying to stay warm, I guess. So they're happy with the 40-8 lead, but not sure what to call that. Anyways, Tua in Tuscaloosa remains hot. How about that Maryland-Ohio State game, huh?
Wow, what a game to watch today. My goodness, back and forth. Good job by Maryland. And I do respect the head man for going ahead and going after that win at the end, just going for the 2.
Les Miles might be headed to Kansas. Looks like that's going to be a done deal. If you sure Kansas still isn't paying Charlie Weiss? I mean, it seemed like they were paying him forever.
Yeah.
And then, of course, UCF getting close to 23 straight wins. Wow. Furby could see the end zone, and I thought he was going to break one there, but what a hole.
Yeah, Kahani Smith ended up coming in. Didn't fall for any of the tomfoolery and the trickery. They had about 4 different misdirections on that play, but great job right there by the safety, Kahani Smith, staying home and making the tackle in the open field.
Now the Hilltoppers before that run with 361 yards, so they'll be closer. They should have a 400-yard game. Zakor Pearson in motion. They go the other way, and Furby has nowhere to go. He makes something out of nothing, and he stopped just shy of the 5-yard line. Wait, Furby wants another touchdown.
Yeah, he doesn't want to come out of the football game either.
So come on, coach, it's senior day.
Unfortunately for him, they're subbing him out. You got Gino Appleberry coming on in.
So a freshman for the 5th-year senior. Furby goes to the sidelines, says, all right, give Gino one play.
Yeah, empty backfield, shotgun set.
Appleberry in motion, and penalty flags will call this dead before it develops.
False start. 61 for the offense. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
It's Jordan Meredith again, the redshirt sophomore from right here in Bowling Green. That's a couple of times he's been guilty.
These are just the mental mistakes that you're going to have to go through and growing pains. And again, we talked about this at the beginning of the broadcast, was the fact that at the beginning of this season, none of these offensive linemen played in their positions starting off. This is one of the things that the team's been searching for the last couple of years. After having a dominant front, they're starting to play together now. 9 games. This is the 10th game of those guys starting together.
Duncan, a little shovel pass in the middle. This one's going to be picked. And that's going to end the drive for Western Kentucky. Kalon Beverly comes up. That's his second INT this year.
They're rolling on the field. It's an interception. First down.
They're pulling the backside guard, and they're having that tight end follow behind him. And Quan Dean was the one supposed to be getting that football, but it seems like Duncan was a little distracted on when to throw that ball.
Coach has said Beverly having an up and down season, but the last 3 or 4 weeks playing much better football. Gets his second pick of the season. A nice job of juggling, keeping his focus.
Yeah, it's good concentration, especially down there and all that traffic. Being able to focus and bring that football in.
So Brandon Jones back on to lead this offense, and he'll start at the 6-yard line. 94 yards away from their second touchdown. He's got 4 wide receivers, 3 to the near side. They're going to keep it on the ground. Quadres Wadley, who had a 46-yard run last week, longest for him in his career, and The longest since Aaron Jones had an 83-yard run 2 years ago. How about Aaron Jones and the Packers a couple games ago?
Wow, is he doing well in the NFL?
He had, 15 carries, 145 yards, 9.6, and a couple of scores. Packers needed.
They needed that win against Seattle, yeah. It looks like they're not going to be playing in the postseason this year.
I was going to say they needed that running back, but I guess you had to remind me, since I'm a Packer fan, that they needed that win against Seattle.
I apologize for that negativity, Mike.
Wide open, Lucero. David Lucero has his first catch. I think the Hilltoppers thought he might have stepped out of bounds. Instead, he takes it to the house.
My goodness. Deontay Ruffin, what are you doing?
88 yards on the play.
And then you got Darrell Green grabbing the back of his hamstring at this point in time, trying to chase down Lucero. Like, when the play is still going on, I understand that nowadays with the calls that a lot of the defensive backs are getting about hitting players out of bounds, and clearly he looked like he was about to go out of bounds there. You have your defensive back, Deontay Ruffin, pulling up, and I don't know if that's laziness or he doesn't want to try to get a penalty, or ultimately he gave up a touchdown. He's going to get chewed out when he gets to the sideline.
So the Miners doing all the scoring here in the second half. Whistle blows this dead. Timeout called on the field. So Western Kentucky calls the timeout this time. That's the first of 3 here in the second half.
30 seconds left.
So Lucero, who had 4 catches for 62 yards last week, goes 88s. Gets his second touchdown here in 2018.
And see, what's going to happen now is the coach is going to be bringing up that play in particular. And he's going to say, look, now we just lost number 9. Because number 9 is grabbing the back of his leg because he just hurt his hamstring, having to chase down a play that Ruffin gave up.
And number 9, Darrell Green, is a senior, so that hamstring, they only have 1 more game to play next week. And if your hamstring is, I mean, that thing will, even if there were 5 or 6 games to go, that hamstring can nag you for the longest time.
Well, we're all positive in the fact that, you know, they're dominating this football game with a 40-14 score right now up on the board. But at this point in time, you still have almost a quarter left of this game. And you have guys on the football field, especially across the football, giving their all-out effort. So you got to continually bring it, man. You got to keep your foot on the gas pedal, because stuff like that is going to hurt your team physically.
Jones fires, has the 2-point conversion. Lucero gets the touchdown, and he gets the 2-point conversion. So Brandon Jones gets another touchdown pass. That's his second. So Lucero gets his second of the season. And all the scoring in the second half has belonged to the Miners. 12:45 to go in the ball game. 40-16 now, Western Kentucky. Well, Brett, Dana Dimel has told us in the past that they've done everything right this year except win. But right now they're doing everything right in the second half, scoring a couple of touchdowns and keeping Western Kentucky off that scoreboard in the second half after the Hilltoppers put 40 on the board in the first half.
Well, you look down on the sideline right now, and you got the guys in the white jerseys, and the coach is still working hard, trying to develop plays and get opportunities for these guys to go ahead and score some points. My distraction is over there across the field looking at what's going on Western Kentucky sideline. They've been out of this football game for the most part now for about an hour. So those coaches are over there trying to keep these guys' heads in the game.
Kick taken at the 6-yard line. And it's going to be Darden. Darden gets up over the 25 to about the 26. That's where Stephen Duncan and company will take over. You know, when you're down 40-0, I got to take my hat off to the Miners. I mean, you're down 40-0. You come out in the second half, it's kind of tough to be motivated.
Yes.
Even if you love playing the game.
Yeah, it's one of the tough things about being in this situation in football games. You know, at the University of Miami, we were always, at this point in time, the Western Kentucky team, and a lot of the teams we were playing against back in the early 2000s ended up being the Miners. And it was tough, man. The seniors are trying to get off the field, or they're trying to cut their playing time in half. It's tough to stay in it.
Hilltoppers keep it on the ground. Tackle made. Denzel Chukwuewu, junior from Rockwall, Texas.
Half the time you got the seniors over there on the sideline talking about what they're doing after the game, where they're going, whose party they're going to. So it's a distraction, man. There's a reason why they have all the kids that are either red-shirted or not dressing. They keep them separate from the rest of the team because those are the guys that are going to get into your head and whisper in your helmet when you're getting distracted. You're going to get yourself in trouble and possibly not go onto the football field when it's your turn.
There's Samuel trying to bounce to the edge. Needham coming up to make the tackle at the 32. I'm sure the Hilltoppers are happy to eat some clock, but after putting 40 on the board in the first half, I'm sure they'd love to score at least one touchdown here in the second half.
Well, especially if they're starting to sub in some of their players. You know, you want your team, especially after a season the way that they've had, to try to get some playing time. A lot of these kids that are on the sideline right now that haven't seen live action have the opportunity on games like tonight to go ahead and test out all of that stuff they've been working on in practice.
Duncan out of the empty backfield, gets all the way up to the 40-yard line. It's going to be a first down for Western Kentucky. Stop the clock with 11:09 to go to reset. Clock is running again, 11:06. But a new set of downs for Stephen Duncan, getting his fourth start here in the 2018 season. A couple of scoring strikes in the first half. So he's got 8 touchdowns, 5 picks. And the big story in the first half, of course, was 5 picks, all made by Western Kentucky. Furby picks up maybe 2, possibly 3 on the play.
I'm telling you, I'm watching UTEP right now down there in the front. They're still violent. They're still grabbing guys, throwing guys around, trying to dish rag offensive linemen. Hats off to those guys up in the front for UTEP right now. Chukwuewu down there throwing people around, and I'm watching Mascaro and Reese. They're still getting after it down there.
Yeah, I'm sure they'd love to get the football back and maybe put 1 or 2 more scores on to make this respectable. I mean, I think in the back of their mind they know they can't pull this 40-16 game out. Although I guess you never say never, huh? I mean,
old number 9 right there. Houchens still getting involved. Soda's involved in that tackle right there too. So these guys aren't quitting. That's one of the things that I'm pretty impressed with right now. It's not like they just recently went down 24 points. You know, it's been a pretty convincing gap since the second quarter.
Well, like we talked about, Bill Clark from UAB saying that they only won 19-0, and Blazers were averaging about 33, 34 points a game. And Clark was impressed with the fight this Miner team had. So all those picks in a 40-0 deficit at halftime, they had to be a little bit shell-shocked in the locker room.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And the fact that they kept having to put their defense in these horrible situations, you know, constantly going on the football field in red zone, trying to defend what was going on, and the landslide that was happening on Western Kentucky's offensive side of the football. It's tough, man. Hats off to Coach Cox over there and the defensive coordinator at UTEP for just continually getting these guys to come to work and practice hard and do it with such little backup.
Appleberry. Another misdirection as they send Garland to France in motion. They keep running that play, though, about 3 or 4 times, and sooner or later, LaFrance is going to get the football. And the Miners better be on their toes, because the freshman from New Orleans got some wheels.
Big Chris Richardson just went in there for Chukwuewu.
France. There he goes. Oh, nice tackle.
What a play.
Nice job.
Beautiful by Trace Mascaro right there, flying in as things are getting a little bit touchy right now. Really good play. Watch the pursuit. Great angle coming down the field.
Boy, he got out there in a hurry.
Yeah, man. Really nice play right there. Nowhere to go. Nice fill.
After the play, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, late hit out of bounds, number 28 of the offense. 15-yard penalty at the end of the run, 3rd down.
That's Gino. I'm wondering if Gino wanted to go ahead and deliver that hit after he was out of bounds.
Well, Western Kentucky, hate to say shooting themselves in the foot in the second half with a 40-16 lead, but their offense is really bogged down because of penalties here in the second half. Before they head for Ruston, Louisiana, I'm sure Mike Sanford happy with the victory here tonight, but I'm sure he's going to bring that up.
Yeah, it got a little sloppy for them in the second half.
Nice hole, right side, good cutback. There's the freshman again, all the way up to the 49-yard line. Garland LaFrance picks up 13 on the play.
Well, it seems like if they were looking for that big playmaker, and I know the fact that their #1 wide receiver, Sloan, their big playmaker, is not in tonight. I think they found a nice, bright, shining star for the future of this program with LaFrance. They seem like they're going to be able to utilize his talents real nice here in the future on offense.
Well, LaFrance picks up 13, but not enough to move the chains, and so Alex Ranello back on to punt again. Janelle standing at the 10-yard line for UTEP. Nice kick by Ranella. Ooh, Janelle backed off just at the last second. Penalty flag drop.
Yeah.
At the 13.
They got one at the 35 as well. Pretty good acting skills right there by the punter. They might have earned themselves a flag too.
Yeah, the men in the striped shirts keep him busy here in the second half.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Running into the kicker, 23 of the receiving team. Kick, catch, interference, personal foul on the kicking team. Those goals are all set. Replay 4th down.
Oh, wow. So Alex Ranella will have to come back and do it again.
And look who's running out there, the first man over top of that football. Good old number 15, the ghost on the roster. Calvin Brownholtz, the one that ended up laying out Jernigan earlier on in this football game.
Yeah, we got to thank Joe, our statistician, to dig out that name since he wasn't on the roster. Well, the Hilltoppers taking their time to come back out on the field to punt this away. And I'm sure they're not going to discuss a fake punt right now with 6:45 to go. Plus a bunch of new guys are coming in, maybe, on the punt team. Well, the officials certainly gave him enough time, huh?
Well, the time was flying by for me listening to the banter going back and forth on that field.
Ranella gets a second opportunity, and they get the nice Western Kentucky roll that time all the way down to the 5-yard line. Almost hit Janelle. 6 minutes and 32 seconds to go on senior night here in Bowling Green, Kentucky. There's the numbers favoring the Hilltoppers. Well, back in Bowling Green, it's 40-16 right now, deep into the 4th quarter. 6:32 to go. How about Spencer Brown? Of course, you can't argue with Singletary's numbers or Mason Fine, but at least UAB, they've won the division. And Spencer Brown has been a big part of that.
Not only that, just the national attention that these guys are finally getting. You see a program that didn't exist just 2 or 3 years ago, and now there's talks about them in the top 25, and they're always on game day and topic of discussion. So congratulations, Coach Clark and UAB. The Blazers just staking their flag right now in college football.
Well, the Miners had 94 yards to go in the last possession. Now they have 95 yards. Ball on the 5-yard line, trailing 40-16. Jones keeps it, stumbles ahead over the 10-yard line. Nice pickup on first down for the Miners. Time is not on their side, though, if they want to punch in another one. Time and distance, of course, is 6:17. Clock is rolling. Picked up 6, so it's 2nd and 4. Hughes off to the races all the way up to the 25-yard line. So Trayvon Hughes used sparingly tonight, but as you said, big back.
Yeah, big bruising back, coming in with some fresh legs.
Hughes picks up 15 on the play. They move the chains. 5:49 clock is running. Clock continues to run as Brandon Jones looks over at the sidelines. That sucked up another 7 or 8 seconds. Wants to put it up in the air. And this one is incomplete. The intended receiver was Josh Weeks.
They had that blanket coverage right there too by Juwan Gardner. Normally used primarily as their nickel back, but playing a lot of that safety role tonight, especially with Jarrell Green being down with that knee, or the hamstring rather. And get ready for that corner cat off the edge.
.533 to go. The clock stopped with the incompleted pass. Twin receivers to the top and the bottom, and this one's going to be incomplete. Josh Weeks ran it down, but ran out of real estate. So 3rd down, 5:28 to go. You're down 40-16. If it gets to be 4th down again, do you think they just go for it, or do you think they punt it away? This deep at the 25-yard line.
I think they'll go punt it. It's just, you don't want to add insult to injury. You might as well just continue to play the football game and don't allow Western Kentucky to put any more points on the board.
Miners going to call a timeout.
Western Kentucky.
2 of 8. So Western Kentucky calls.
Their second.
Oh, it is UTEP that called the timeout. PA announcer had it wrong. Corrected himself. So UTEP takes the timeout. They're 2 of 8 on 3rd down tonight. Just an abysmal start here if you joined us late in the first half. UTEP on their first 2 possessions threw picks. They had 5 picks in the first half, 1 being a pick 6, and they headed for the locker room trailing 40-0. For the Miners, to their credit, didn't fold the tents. So far, they're shutting out Western Kentucky in the second half, 16-0.
Well, they did have that 22-point performance in the 4th quarter. You know, these guys aren't finished playing the game yet tonight. They want to go ahead and still continue to work their craft.
Jones, wow, felt the pressure, escaped, and he gets up over the 30-yard line. Shy of the first down, but did a nice job of eluding the pressure there. Now he's going to be banged up.
Yeah, Devin Key ended up falling on top of him when he made that tackle, and Ben Holt was right there as well for him. I think he might have had that ball pinned up underneath his rib cage, and when he ended up falling on top of it, that probably caused a little bit of a problem for him.
Hopefully it's just the wind knocked out of him. That can be painful in itself. But
yeah.
You get a quick recovery.
Let's take a look here. He's got the ball pinned up underneath him.
That might be it.
Yeah. But Mike, we talked about what was ailing UTEP tonight. A lot of it was the turnover situation, and they already had 19 turnovers coming into this game as well. And going into it, you know, they've always been outscored when it comes to their turnovers, 80-22. So it seems like tonight is just adding on top of that more and more and more. And we'll come back after we get going on with this injury 40-16 here for Western Kentucky in Bowling Green.
Well, back at Bowling Green, Western Kentucky up on top 40-16. Mike Gleason along with Brett Romberg. Great to have you with us here on the final telecast for BN Sports here in 2018. Miners with 16 second half points, 5:13 to go, facing a 4th and 6. They punted away. And it goes out of bounds at about the 42-yard line, depending on the spot. And so now the Hilltoppers can really eat some clock with 5:05 to go.
And the good news with old number 8 for UTEP, Brandon Jones, ended up coming off the field under his own volition right there. I think it was what we were figuring with just getting the wind knocked out of him, landing on that football.
Hilltoppers, they'll make it 8 straight victories on senior night. First conference win here in 2018. They'll close up on the road at Louisiana Tech next week. UTEP will drop to 1-10, 1-6 in conference play. They head back to El Paso to take on Southern Miss next week. Duncan remains at quarterback. Samuel gets the call, tries to bounce to the outside, and he is pulled down by Nick Needham. Samuel has had a tough time getting to the edge and turning the corner, and most of the time it's because of number 5.
Yeah, Nick Needham's been stellar coming up and filling that outside gap. He's been all over the place. He's been deep, he's been sideline to sideline, and again, you can't say enough about your defensive leader, the guy that is just continuously giving you everything he's got, and his consistency, and one of the things that is going to go ahead and separate him from a lot of the defensive backs in this league.
Samuel picked up 3, so it's 2nd and 7 at the 44. Here he goes again. Good head of steam as he hit the line, but it was like hitting a brick wall. Sione Tupou, the freshman from Allen, Texas, in on the stop again. Called his name quite often tonight. So both these schools with a lot of young players. And of course, as we mentioned, it's senior night, only 10 seniors playing their final game here for Western Kentucky. Final home game, I should say.
Yeah, and again, I love pumping up the offensive line, and I'm excited for what's happening here with Coach Woods and the offensive line for Western Kentucky. But again, these guys started off this season. Not one of these guys is a senior. And there's only 3 other teams in college football that has an offensive line with no seniors on it.
Well, Duncan gets shy of the 50, stopped at about the 49-yard line, and that's going to bring up a 4th down with 3:22. And they're going to stop the clock with 3:19. It's 4th down, and I guess you punt it away here, right, partner?
Yeah, you're going to go ahead and allow them to try to go the long way, see if they can make it. But that situation of going 90-something yards, because you know they're going to go ahead and put it probably within the 10. So
well,
it's going to be a long run.
FAU goes down to North Texas in a thriller on Thursday nights. Kentucky beats Middle Tennessee. Middle Tennessee will close against FIU at home next week. And you see Texas A&M over at UAB. So Middle Tennessee and UAB stepping outside the conference. So Marshall picks up another victory as well. Brunella going to punt it away. Janelle standing back at the 10-yard line with just 3:19 to go before they close the books on this one. Fair catch caught at the 15-yard line. You know, Brett's similar to the teams we see on the field each weekend. It takes a team of people to bring you the sights and sounds every Saturday. Let's take a moment now to show appreciation to those behind the scene, like producer Chris Jones.
Yeah, and our director Art Izquierdo as well.
Our technical director Mark Moreda.
And our audio guy Bray Hopkins.
Engineer Luis Schneider.
By the way, it's Bray Hopkins. It's our audio girl, not our audio guy.
Good
and
call.
our engineer as well, Fred Chochi, is in the
to go, and Mike Sanford's going to have the victory on senior night. They're 8th straight here at Western Kentucky, and special thanks to Jeremy St. Louis, Randall Hill, and Charles Arbuckle back in the studios in Miami.
Not gonna lie to you, I was a little jealous of the food spread they had back there in the studios in Miami. I didn't get blessed with the collard greens and some of that mac and cheese. We ended up having sandwiches. And
But you were happy to be back in the booth.
oh, of course, clearly.
Especially with that 5:30 flight you have back in the
Oh yeah, I got the alarm clock set.
Well, the final 42 seconds of the ball game now. Up over the 5 to about the 6. It's Furby again.
That'll do it.
So Furby with a couple of touchdowns in his final home game as a fifth-year senior. DeAndre Furby, the 6'1", 230-pound fifth-year senior from Smyrna, Tennessee. And that's going to be the final play. And here's the final 15 seconds. And the final home game in 2018 goes to Mike Sanford. All right, your thoughts? Kind of two different stories for two different halves, huh?
Well, again, you know, the train came off the track early on in this football game. 5 interceptions in the first half, and it wasn't like Western Kentucky had to go the field on any of those interceptions either. It was red zone interceptions and pick sixes, so it was almost like the Miners were doomed from the beginning. But a great job and a great opportunity to show what he had coming in the second half. Brandon Jones did a good job. He looked physically more imposing than we saw at Loxley, and unfortunately it looked like Loxley's injury might have got the best of him tonight. But a great job, good job by Coach Sanford, Coach Woods, and a phenomenal job tonight by Western Kentucky getting that first conference win. And again, I don't know if you're playing for Coach Sanford tonight, but I guarantee you they're playing for those 10 gentlemen that had 2 conference championships here in Bowling Green and contributed so much to this program.
Well, Mike Sanford, it's funny you brought that up. He said when you're an assistant coach, the relationship with the players are instantaneous. Of course, he was an assistant at Boise State, at Stanford, at Notre Dame. He said when you're the head coach, it's not as quick. But he said the relationships don't stop on senior night. They go on for life once you play college football. Well, some of the key plays, of course, it all started in the first half with 5 interceptions. It all started with Roger Cray gets his first of 2018. Darrell Green gets one. Great concentration right here by Darden, and even more so right there by Devin Key.
And there's your pick 6 right there.
Gage Walker.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about Stephen Duncan. Gets his 4th start. He throws for 214 and a couple of touchdowns. But again, field position, the key in field position given to him by that defense for Western Kentucky tonight.
And not only that, but I also noticed a little bit of swagger coming from him. You know, we saw tonight, not only did he want to run the football, but he also wanted to run over the opposing players. And he got a little bit cute one time with a nice little shuffle pass, kind of Aaron Rodgers-esque, if you want to go with a Green Bay Packer reference. Unfortunately, he was over the line of scrimmage, but you could see his mind start to work now, and behind a nice offensive line, who, congratulations, for the most part, 4 out of the 5 guys got their 10th start together tonight, and looking for something positive to build on every single game that you're playing, every single night that you're putting what you have worked on all week long to fruition, basically. So a nice offensive line job tonight. Great job, clearly, by the defensive backfield and the defense of Western Kentucky, and it will be a long, quiet flight home tonight back to Texas for Coach Dimel and his squad.
But not to sugarcoat it, though. But I mean, how about the second half? You're down 40-0, and they come back and score a couple of touchdowns. I mean, it would have been easy to fold the tent.
Well, you will talk about that in the meeting, I imagine, tomorrow morning. You guys are going to get in there, and the offensive staff is going to go ahead and take a peek at the game, and they just didn't have a chance. And then coming out in the second half, total different quarterback, a little bit more attitude. I know there was a lot of physicality down on that field, a lot of chippiness going on, a lot of verbal altercation as well going back and forth between these two teams. And yeah, they did put up a nice little fight at the end of the football game. They got 16 points, and it's going to be a learning process, I think, for not only UTEP but also for Western Kentucky as well. I think there was a lot to take away from this game tonight. Two teams, 1-9. One had one conference win, the other was still searching for their conference win. So it was a giant learning curve for both programs that are starting to build and capitalize on a rebuild right now.
First conference win for Western Kentucky, but the 8th straight on senior night. That's going to do it from us. For Brett Romberg and our entire BN Sports crew.